So if you have a friend, you have a colleague, you know somebody, a family member that you think would benefit from today's session, get them on the call. Would have an amazing time. As we wind down 2025, this is the best time for you to start to plan, for you to start to prepare. And everything going into 2026 has to be put in place today. All right. We'll have an amazing session coming up with a strategy together. What I can guarantee you is by the end of today's session, the next 2 hours, you'd have practical steps that you can implement starting from today to transition from wherever you are to that job you want to get in 2026. Okay. So we're going to dive in immediately and I'll lead the session today. We'll have an amazing time. If you are anywhere where you have distractions, you want to take away distractions right now, make sure you have a pen, you have a notepad so you can take things away from today's session. But let's dive right into the main meat of our session today. All right. So I'll do a little bit of introduction, talk a little bit about what we do, who we are at Analytics, and then we'll dive into the main meat of why we are here today. Now, what is the next step for you and I? What's the next step for you who wants to transition into the tech ecosystem, land a high paying job? After the numerous changes, so many immigration policies here and there, it can get very overwhelming and confusing. But how do you navigate the space? How do you focus on the facts? And how do you develop a strategy to get you to the next direction, to get you to that next job, to get you to the next destination? And that's why we are here today. And for us at Analytics, we are the leading educational technology company focused on helping professionals land high-paying jobs within the tech ecosystem. Over the last 5 years, we've helped over 3,000 people transition into the tech ecosystem across multiple areas from the UK to the US to Canada, across Europe, Africa, and so on. And I'll share a whole lot of stories today. Case studies of people like you who were healthcare workers, but today they're project managers. Would share stories of somebody who had no experience, no knowledge in data science, but today she's a data scientist in France. And we have a lot of amazing scenarios like that. And the areas we focus on are the high demand career path from data analytics to business analysis, data engineering, cybersecurity, financial analytics, HR analytics, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to walk you through the specific career path you need to focus on because people usually would use the word tech loosely. Okay, but tech is very broad. The tech ecosystem is very broad. And the question is, are there specific areas within the tech ecosystem that would land you that job a lot faster? And the answer is yes. And that would be our focus for today's session. And for those of you joining Tenalytics for the very first time, my name is Adeza Suleiman. I have over a decade experience cutting across management consulting, data analytics, data science, and so on. As the founder of Tenalytics and the co-founder of Amdari, my focus over the last 5 years has been to help professionals like you to transition into the tech ecosystem with no prior knowledge, no prior background, because I had done the same. And we've helped over 3,000 people do the same. My first degree was in industrial chemistry. I didn't study anything related to technology. I didn't study anything related to computer science, but I was able to transition into data analytics about 12 years ago. And over the last 5 years, we've helped over 3,000 people achieve the same feat. Accountants becoming project managers, healthcare assistants becoming healthcare informatics analysts, healthcare data reporting analysts, and so on and so forth. I've worked as a data analytics consultant, currently work as a data engineering contractor in Canada. I've lived and I've worked in the UK as a data science consultant, and I've worked remotely back when I was in Nigeria, working for companies in the US as a data analyst, data science consultant. I've worked with one of the largest privately owned energy conglomerates in sub-Saharan Africa as a data analyst, management information systems analyst, and I've worked as a data analytics consultant with FITC, owned by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Bankers Committee. My experience spans across 5 different sectors, from energy to sports to educational technology to financial services and so on and so forth. And as we go through our session today, I'd share a bit of my journey and how I was able to make the transition and how we've been able to help other people utilize the same strategy to transition into high paying roles within the tech ecosystem. All right. So we have so many different categories of people here today. Some of you are new in the country where you reside. You are new in Canada, you are new in the US, new in the UK. Some of you have been there for a while, but now it's time for you to transition into that next job. You're tired of what you do. You want to move from healthcare, banking, customer service, and you want to move into the tech ecosystem. And it can get very confusing and overwhelming. Okay, so you're not alone. We deal with these issues and these questions every day. And that's the reason why we are having this session. So by the end of today, you know exactly what to do in 2026 to land a job. You know the strategy, you know the mistakes you've been making and how to cover those gaps. All right. So before we move into planning for the next year, it's important to know where we are coming from. So what happened in 2025? That's the big question. For us at Tenalytics, it was an amazing, fantastic, super amazing year because of the achievements and the feats we were able to reach in 2025. We started the year in January having achieved 355 people who landed jobs last year, 2024. So at the end of 2024, for those who went through Tenalytics across different programs, 355 people landed jobs. So we needed to take it a step further in 2025. And in 2025 and counting, because 2025 is not over yet, how is it going? Okay, we've been able to achieve over 426 roles, people that have landed jobs after completing their program with Tenalytics. 426. And of course, still counting because the year, December is not yet over, and we expect a whole lot more job roles to come in. So it's been amazing and fantastic for us and for the people that have been a part of the Tenalytics community, registered across different programs. So the question is, where did these jobs come from? Okay. And what type of jobs did these professionals get? People who had no experience, those who were care workers, healthcare assistants, they worked in the warehouse, but today they've landed jobs. All right. So again, like I said, before you go into 2026, you need to know where you are coming from and what happened. So looking across the different economies, taking the UK, for example, with all the numerous immigration challenges, the changes that, the uncertainty within the UK surrounding the job ecosystem and so on and so forth, jobs still grew in the UK. There was job growth, especially within the tech ecosystem. All right. So while the UK economy generally slowed down in 2025, jobs within the tech ecosystem grew by 1.4%. And these jobs centered around specific roles. The jobs that outpaced other jobs within the economy, that's within the tech ecosystem, you have the IT director roles. You have the programmers and the software developers. Then you have the data analysts. You have the web design professionals. You have the business analysts. You have the business architects. All right. So if you're a data analyst in the UK, you can rest assured that you outpaced the general growth across other roles within the economy. Your job was in high demand. Employers were hiring for roles within your field, and that led to the jobs that people got. So when you saw 426 people landing jobs with Tenalytics, they fell within specific categories of jobs, not all jobs. And of course, across different regions, the regions with the highest number of jobs gotten across these roles, you have London leading the pack. You have Edinburgh, you have Leeds, Bristol, Manchester, and so on and so forth. So what I've done is I've kept the link to all these reports. If there's anybody joining from the UK today, just type in a yes into the chat. Where in the UK are you joining from? Just type in the chat. If you're joining from Leeds, Manchester, London, I'd like to know for those joining from the UK. Just type into the chat and I'd like to get your feedback. Okay. So Freda is joining from Liverpool. Absolutely fantastic. London, brilliant. Chidi is also joining from the UK. Absolutely phenomenal. All right. So you start to see the jobs, the areas where these jobs were prevalent, and the specific career path that also outpaced the general economy. Now we move to the US. Same scenario with the UK. The difference is the US had a more aggressive growth in the tech ecosystem. So while the general economy, the US experienced one of the highest unemployment rates in 2025 at around 4.6%. Okay, around 4.6%. But unemployment within the tech ecosystem was just a 2.9%. And month on month, the job postings within the technology ecosystem, within the IT space, grew by 33% every single month in 2025. And what does that show? It shows you a strong demand for these roles, strong hiring demand. So getting into a career path all starts from the career path that are in high demand. You don't just choose randomly. You don't choose because your friend just got a job. You want to get into a career path because you can easily land a job in that area. It is a high demand career path. It's a career path that will stay relevant over the next 5 to 10 years. So you'd see about 7 million job postings within the tech ecosystem in 2025, 33% monthly increase, which signified strong hiring demand in the UK. And of course, we looked at Canada as well. Canada also expanded or is set to expand by 1.4% by the end of the year. And this growth, generally, Canada struggled with jobs. Immediately, Trump implemented the tariff regime in the US. It affected a lot of Canadian businesses, manufacturing, retail, and so on. So jobs were lost across board. However, the technology ecosystem saw an increase in the number of jobs added. And this was led by AI roles, cybersecurity roles, data science roles, and so on, especially cybersecurity. And this also were in specific provinces. Toronto led the pack. Okay, Toronto led the pack, followed by Alberta. And of course, you had other provinces coming on board. Is there anybody joining from Canada? If you are joining from Canada, type into the chat. If you are joining from Canada, I'd like to know, type into the chat. Anyone from Canada? Okay, so let's move on. The Canadians will join. They're on their way to join the session. All right, or let's see. I think somebody just typed in Toronto. Lasana is joining from Toronto. Fantastic. Good to have you here today. All right. So the jobs that were in high demand were in specific areas. They were led by AI, cybersecurity, data science roles, and so on and so forth. So again, the link to all these reports are on my slide. You'd have the opportunity to get access to the slides. Click on the links. If we click on this, for example, it's going to take us to these reports, and you can read the reports, have a good idea of the tech jobs in Canada that are set for continued growth. Okay. And from here, you can see where the world is going, especially in your specific region in Canada. Okay. So now that we know what happened in 2025, there were jobs grew. The big question now is, what is in store for 2026? What is in store for 2026? How do we start to plan ahead of the new year? Looking across the major economies as well, the tech jobs are projected to grow a lot faster than the average jobs within the economy. So looking at the US, we're expecting at least a job growth of over 1 million new roles added to the economy across different areas, including the data analyst, the data science roles, which is expected to 5x grow by at least 5 times, 414% growth for the data analyst and the data scientist. So if you're in the US and you are thinking of transitioning, where should your focus be? What areas do you need to consider? Do you need to look at? You want to look at the areas that are set for growth. Okay. Cybersecurity roles are expected to grow at 367%. That's 4x growth. So whatever number of roles in 2025 created within the cybersecurity space, it's expected to quadruple, at least increase by 4 times. And then you have the software developers, you have the software testers, the QA testers, and so on and so forth. Same in the UK. The top skills and the areas of experience in 2026, you have the AI machine learning, data science roles, cybersecurity, data analytics, business intelligence, cloud computing, cloud engineering, and these are data engineering roles, software applications development, and so on. And in Canada, you also have cloud tools. So as a cloud engineer, as a data engineer, somebody who knows how to use Excel for dashboards, as a data analyst, you have those who know how to code, the computer programmers, the software developers, the data analytics professionals, cybersecurity, AI, and so on and so forth. So where the world is going is very clear. The pathway to job growth is also very clear. So the question is, if there are specific areas earmarked for growth based on demographic change, digitalization within the general economy, and so on, I know exactly where to focus on. And that's exactly where you start from. Okay. So we looked at what happened in 2025. Slowdown in the economy, but the tech ecosystem, number of jobs grew. Going into 2026, even though economists are also pessimistic about job growth and so on, job growth within the tech ecosystem is expected to grow at an unprecedented rate. But only those that are prepared for those jobs would get the jobs. Okay, so what does that mean? If I'm prepared for the jobs, how do I prepare for the jobs? If you're not prepared for the jobs, you will not get those jobs. And what does that mean? We flip the script. You put yourself in the position of the employer. And I want to bring this point home by asking you a question. All right. So you imagine you want to hire a candidate. Okay. And you have different candidates to interview for the role. What specific things would you look at before you decide on the best candidates to hire? And I would ask you this question, we'd look at an analogy together and would come to a conclusion. I want to know your thought process and where you are at this point in time, okay? So let's imagine you want to buy a couch and you're considering 2 people to make the couch for you, 2 carpenters, for example. You have carpenter A. Carpenter A has a certificate that he's gone to carpentry school. He was the best in carpentry school. In fact, he had a distinction in carpentry school, A+. And he has that hung somewhere in his shop or store. Okay. And then you have a carpenter B. Carpenter B has a showroom. The showroom, you have different types of couches that have been made by this carpenter B. You can touch, you can feel the different couches. You can see the quality of the couch, the different colors, the texture of the material used to make this couch. Who would you feel confident or comfortable making your couch for you? Or who would you trust to make that couch for you? Carpenter A, who has a certificate, or Carpenter B? So just type A or B into the chat. Freda says carpenter B. Okay, so let me see more. Christina says carpenter B. Silver, Chidi says carpenter B. Let's get more feedback. Who would you choose? I want to know. Okay, Eric says carpenter B. BBB. Pat says carpenter B. Fantastic. Chukuma says carpenter B. Chris Fatih says carpenter B. Interesting. So everybody would choose carpenter B. Why? Let me ask you why. Let me not preempt your answers. So type into the chat as well. Why would you be comfortable, or why would you trust carpenter B over carpenter A? Type into the chat as well. I'd like to know the reason behind your answers. Why carpenter B? Why not carpenter A? Pat says because seeing is believing. Absolutely. Samples of available, because of samples available to convince. Samples available to convince me. Absolutely, Chris. Fatih says there's a sample of his work that I can see. Brilliant. Okay. Chidi says his skills, years of experience already speaking for him. Absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, a lot of candidates position themselves as carpenter A. I have a degree, I have a certificate, I have that, and I have that. Credentials. Whereas carpenter B has evidence that they can do the job because they've done it already. Like you all said, seeing is believing. I can see evidence that he's made this couch. I can see the material. I can walk in there. I can touch. I can feel. I can ask questions. And I'm convinced that he can do the job for me. People don't position themselves as carpenter B. They position themselves as carpenter A. So if I go back to the question, if you were in the shoes of the employer, you would hire carpenter B. And that's what you should start looking at things from the perspective of the employers. The employers today, in today's world, in the UK, in the US, in Canada, across Europe, would want to hire somebody who has done the job before, would only hire somebody they can see what they've done, not just hear what they've done. So the employers, potential employers, don't want to hear what you can do anymore. They want to see what you've done. And that's what gives them the confidence that you can do the job for them. So in 2026, the job market would be unkind to those who are unprepared. So when I talk about preparation, it's not about learning the skills alone. It's about showing what you've built with those skills, showing the problems you've solved, showing where you have worked before, your experience. And that's what would convince any employer to hire you. So anybody who is unprepared for 2026 would have a very rough time. Only those who are ready. And how do you get ready? With the right skills, number one, and the ability to deliver. You have to be able to show this. And that's exactly what all these professionals I'll be showing you now did. And they were able to land jobs. The focus was not on skills. The focus was not on going on YouTube. It was not on buying that next course on Udemy. No, it was a whole lot more than that. And that's what I'll show you how to do today. Beyond your skills, what else do you need to do? So for somebody like Pavel, a Cameroonian, moved to the US, had experience in education. He was a teacher back in Cameroon, and then he moved to the US. But he wanted to move from being a teacher into a high-paying role in the tech ecosystem. He joined our data analytics program in December 2024. And in March 2025 this year, he landed a job as a healthcare data reporting analyst. Healthcare data reporting analyst in the US. So he moved from being a teacher to a healthcare, totally different sector, healthcare data reporting analyst. So the question is, how did he do it? How can a teacher become a healthcare data reporting analyst? What exactly did he do? So you start to understand that, like that carpenter with a showroom, Pavel had evidence that he could work with data, with healthcare data, medical records, and showcase what he could do and what he had done in that space. And I'll show you how Pavel was able to achieve this practically step by step. Apart from Pavel, you had Bukola. She was in HR back in Nigeria, did a lot of HR administration tasks, did a lot of expense reporting in HR, which a lot of people would say is HR is just a cost center. They don't act in as a strategic function. So she moved to the US for her master's, and she realized that the skills she got from Nigeria as a HR professional was not near or close to the requirements to land a job within HR, the HR space in the US. So what did she do? She joined our business analysis program to upskill from just being somebody in HR to having business analysis skills. She combined her HR skills, business analysis. We worked with her. We prepped her for our interviews. She worked on multiple projects. She built a portfolio. And in January this year, she landed a job, her first job as a HRIS analyst, a human resources information systems analyst in the US. And today, which the job she got in July with evident microscopy in the US as a senior HR business analyst. So her HR experience and the business analysis she completed with us helped her get this job as a HR business analyst in the US. And that's Bukola's story. And then you have Emmanuel, also in the US. Emmanuel had a background in accounting, but he wanted to do more. He worked in a bank, but he wanted, to do more in the bank. His role focused a lot around customer engagement, relationship manager, and so on. But he wanted to do something more strategic. Because of his accounting background, he joined our financial analytics program in December 2024. And in October this year, he got a job as a senior operations consultant, not junior, senior, with the Bank of America in the US. And I want you to listen to Emmanuel. And the reason why I want you to listen to him is simply because Emmanuel is the perfect example of candidates who want to go for the junior roles. But then we advise that rather than go for the junior role, what you have learned is enough for you to land a senior role. We advised Emmanuel all the projects he had completed and everything he had done. We prepped him for his interview. But because the interview was internal, because he was already working in that bank and the role became available and he wanted to, get that role. There was a junior role, there was a senior role. We told him to go for the senior one. He had just one interview. We prepped him and he got that job. But I want you to listen to Emmanuel. We're going to go to those in the UK, go to those in Canada, and you'd see a broad spectrum of professionals who had no jobs, but today they are doing amazingly well. All right. So again, I've kept the link for you to listen to Pavel, for you to listen to Bukola, for you to listen to Emmanuel. You can see the links right here. All the links are here. So if you want to get access to the links, you want to get access to my slide and all the materials I'll share with you today, make sure you fill the attendance form. Very, very important. All right, so let's listen to Emmanuel. So if you click on that link, it's going to take you to where you can listen to Emmanuel. Okay, so let's go. Let's listen to Emmanuel very quickly. That's Emmanuel right there. So Emmanuel created a video talking about his experience and what helped him. And for him, he said it was a full circle moment because he joined a session like this, just like you joined. He listened to the testimonials of people who had gotten jobs. And it was like, one day I want to be like these people. And about, 7-8 months after, he landed a job with the Bank of America. So let's listen to Emmanuel very quickly, just about 3.5 to 4 minutes. And then you'd get to pick one or two things from what Emmanuel did and what you can also do. All right. So sit back, relax, and listen to Emmanuel.
name is Emmanuel Adeyemi, and I first found out about Tenalytics on social media. In Insight, it's a full supplement because I watched the testimonials of others about the program, how it had helped them successfully transition into the tech space. So intrigued by their story, I decided to check it out myself. And eventually I registered for the financial analytics program. That's the course 12. And from day one, my experience with Blessed and a few other program coordinators was just outstanding. Blessed was incredibly supportive, organized, and just generally cared about each student's progress. Also, the facilitators on the program were equally impressive. They were very knowledgeable, approachable. They had like real life projects and problems you could work on. And always they were ready to go the extra mile to ensure that the concepts they were teaching were, very and clearly understood by every single person. The classes and projects were challenging. They were educating and very rewarding. Every module was practical and they were tied to real world scenarios, which helped me apply what I was learning immediately. And also, I had a chance to work on group projects, and that also taught me how to collaborate effectively with other people, just like in a real work environment. So I also appreciated the self-paced learning modules and the watch me do these videos. This helped make sure that, time zone was not a constraint, as you get access to, the learning modules all the time. The extra sessions during the program also, like the drop-in sessions, the mentorship calls, the CV review sessions, the interview preps, those were game changers for me. They provided clarity, they provided direction and confidence that I needed, to face any interview during my search. So personally for me, I secured my current role just 6 months after completing the program. And I can confidently tell you and say that, Tenalytics played a very key role in me attaining this success. From polishing my technical skills to helping me articulate my experience during interviews, their guidance also made the journey very smooth for me. Even with prayers, they will back you up with prayers and, tell you, hey, we can't wait to, hear of your success stories. And I remember one of my facilitators, said during one of the classes that to aim higher for, senior roles, just because the quality of the lessons that we were getting in class. And that advice, just stuck with me, because there were several roles, that I could have applied for. But this very one I got, right now, I'm employed as a senior operations consultant, earning 6 figures, on my current job with one of the top tier banks in the US. This wouldn't have been possible if I didn't get, to sit down and learn from some of the best people in the industry. Overall, my advice is, if you won't go for Tenalytics, I'll just say do it. The program is very quality. It's worth every single penny. It's a great investment in yourself, to build and upskill yourself, and also, for your future, journey into tech. And I'll leave on this note, Tenalytics has helped shape my life, and that's why I can give this testimonial. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I was also watching the videos on one of the testimonials just like this, and that got me to the program. And here I am sharing my testimony as well. So if you want to plug in, I'll say go for it, do it, and you'll never regret that you did.
That's Emmanuel Adeyemi, a phenomenal professional. You listen to him earning 6 figures, doing amazingly well for himself. And it all started from a free session like this. And he knew that I needed more. I want to get more. What do I need to do? And he got his journey started. Okay. So from Pavel to Bukola to Emmanuel, they did a couple of things that got them to where they are today. I'll share everything with you. For those in the UK, we had somebody like Gad. These are some of the success stories. Gad was a mechanical engineer back in Nigeria. Okay, he studied mechanical engineering, had no job yet back in Nigeria, moved to the UK for his master's. He completed his program with us in data engineering in July, and by January, he had gotten a job with the NHS as a data warehouse and ETL developer on full visa sponsorship. Full visa sponsorship. I'm going to show you Gad's profile on LinkedIn and a couple of other people. And I want to show you something, a critical success factor across everybody who lands jobs with analytics. And so you can pick that from there while I go through the others. This is Esther. Esther has background in pharmacy. When she moved to the UK for her master's as well, she worked as a care worker in the UK, but she wanted more. She joined our Agile project management program in April this year, 2025. And by July, just about 3 months into the program, she landed a job with the civil service in the UK as a contract project officer. And of course, you have Sharon. Sharon was in healthcare. She was a healthcare assistant with the NHS. She joined our business analysis program in March this year, 2025. And by May, she had landed a job as a business data analyst, also on sponsorship in the UK. From a healthcare assistant to a business data analyst, from a pharmacist to a contract project manager, from somebody with a mechanical engineering background to a data engineer. So how did they achieve this feat? Okay, absolutely phenomenal. Then in Canada, we have a few people here. I'm going to list just a couple of them. We can't go through all the 400 plus testimonials. This is Abednego. Abednego is Ghanaian, moved to Canada. He needed to land a job. He joined our data analytics program in August last year. And by June this year, 2025, he got a job with the city of Winnipeg as a quality improvement analyst. You have Amaka. Amaka had a background in HR. She was out of work in Canada for over 6 months. She needed to get a job. She found us on Instagram. She was a bit skeptical. She joined a free session like this. She listened to all the amazing advice and she registered for our HR analytics program in July last year. And by January this year, 2025, Amaka had landed a job with Sask Energy in Saskatchewan, Canada as a HR data analyst. Not a HR analyst role, a HR data analyst. And prior to this time, Amaka was just a HR, the conventional HR professional doing talent sourcing, talent management, employee engagement, and so on and so forth. But today she's a HR data analyst with Sask Energy, one of the largest utilities in Saskatchewan, Canada. And of course, you have Toyin. Toyin's story is very interesting, and I'm going to use Toyin's story to also walk you through a particular strategy that we adopt that helps people land jobs a lot faster. Toyin had over a decade experience back in Nigeria in aviation. She worked with the NCAA, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. She worked in planning and administration, but then she moved to Canada and she realized that, oh, I don't know what to do with my administrative skills and planning skills. She joined one session like this. She joined our clarity session. We spoke to her and looked at her experience, and we're able to extract things that she had done relating to project management. While she worked in planning back in Nigeria, she had done a lot of budgeting, feasibility studies. She had managed, different events and workshops and so on and so forth. So if you've done events, you've done workshops, definitely you managed your vendors, that's stakeholder management, stakeholder engagement. You worked on budgets, looking at the different risks that could impact the different workshops you held. That's risk management, budgeting. And we looked at all of that. And the best career path for Toyin, we recommended the Agile Project Management Program. She joined in February. And by September, just about 6 months after she got a job as a project coordinator in Canada. All right. So, and there are other regions as well, because people always ask the question, is it just the US, the UK, Canada? Are there other places? Do people in Nigeria get jobs? Do people in other countries get jobs? Absolutely. So you have Christian. Christian landed a job as a data processor analyst with a company called Market Trends International in Nigeria. He joined our data analytics program in September 2024. And by July this year, he had landed that job. And of course, we have other countries, but I want us to do a very quick exercise, a quick game, fun game. And I want you to guess the flag. Guess the country based on the flag. Okay, so I'd list about 3 to 4 flags or 3 flags, and I want you to guess the country. Of course, I've shown you Nigeria already, but let's look at other countries, okay? So I want you to guess this flag. So what country flag can you see on my Adiola is here again. Adiola, you are here on Wednesday. You are here again. Okay, Poland, absolutely. Okay, so Poland, Poland, Poland. So, of course, and you have somebody like William. William had a background in engineering, in construction, civil engineer back in Nigeria. He moved to Poland for his master's. And while he enrolled for his master's, he also joined our data analytics program in January. So at the point where he was completing his master's, guess what? He was also landing a job as a junior strategy analyst with a company in the financial services sector, Marsh McLennan in Poland. He made a post about that on LinkedIn, and he also created a video. For those who joined early, you would have listened to Christian William, I beg your pardon, talking about his experience, William Patrick, from a civil engineer to a data analyst in the financial services sector. And you have another country. Adiola, don't say anything this time around. Okay, I want you to guess the flag of this country. Guess the flag. CSG says Ireland. Okay, Ireland. Only CSG knows. Took a guess. Or maybe CSG actually knows. He didn't guess. And now that CSG has said Ireland, everybody else is copying and saying Ireland. Fred, are you sure? Is that your final answer? Adobe says Italy. Okay. So, of course, CSG, Fred, absolutely correct. And you have Chukwuebuka. Chukwuebuka wanted to land a cybersecurity role, and he joined our cybersecurity program in September last year. And by July this year, Chukwuebuka landed a job as a security operations analyst, which is one of the specializations in cybersecurity. So in cybersecurity, you have about 3 or 4 major specializations: ethical hacking or penetration testing, governance, risk and compliance, and security operations center analyst. So Chukwuebuka got a job as a security operations analyst in Ireland. And the last country, take a guess, and let's see where this amazing professional came from. Take a guess in the chat based on the country flag. Okay. Adiola also responded. I know Adiola got everything because I did the same exercise on Wednesday and Adiola got everything. So Inka, you're correct. Linda, Nina, Adiola, absolutely. So that's France. And we had Jennifer, I beg your pardon, Vanessa, who came from France. She joined us from France. Vanessa had electrical engineering background. She spoke to us. We guided her to join the full stack data science program. And today, Vanessa is a data scientist with a company in France. Vanessa told her story, and her story would give you insights into what helps people get jobs, which is far from just the skills. Remember how we started. Okay, far from the skills, just the skills. You need to do a whole lot more beyond the skills. How do you show employers you are the best for that job? Vanessa spoke about that. She joined us in July this year, 2025, and by November, just last month, she landed this job as a data analyst with a company in France. Okay, so we have Vanessa that joined from France. We had Chukwuebuka that joined from Ireland, William from Poland, Christian from Nigeria, including the other professionals we've showcased. Today, we have somebody who is going to join us on the call. In the next maybe 30 minutes, Atinuke would come, speak to us about her journey. Okay, okay, Atinuke is on the call, but Atinuke, I'll call you up to speak in about, let's say, 20 minutes or thereabouts. Okay, so Atinuke joined us in February this year, and by November, she landed a job in the UK. So Atinuke wanted to land a high-paying job, wanted a progressive job in the UK, not the type of job where you have to do more physical work in order to earn more money or work more hours in order to earn more money. No, a job where you can work from home, you can work in the office, hybrid, and based on the work that you've done, the quality of the work, you get promoted, you get salary increase, you get bonuses, and so on. So she joined our full stack data science program in February this year, 2025. And by November, she landed a job as a senior research analyst with a company in the UK. Atinuka is live on the call with us. She's going to come up to, tell her story, walk you through what she did, and you would also have the opportunity to ask her questions. All right. So before Atinuke comes on board, the big question is, what do employers want from you? And by now, you are starting to have a sense of what employers want. Employers want only two things. They want you for your skills. This is a given. You cannot get the job if you don't have the skills. Okay, so it's a given. But the other part that a lot of people ignore is the experience. And also because they don't know how to gain the experience. Some people ignore it completely. And for some, they have no clue on how to gain experience. Oh, how do I gain experience when I don't have a job? And I'm going to show you how to gain experience, how somebody like Atinuke gained experience as well. Okay. And of course, for us at 10 Analytics, we combine these two. This is very crucial. It's at the core of what we do, skills and experience. And when you combine these together, this is what equates to your competence. So when you're asked the question, what do employers want from you? They want you for your competence. Just like that carpenter who has a showroom, and you can tell the competence of that carpenter by looking at what they've built. It gives you an idea of the quality of work they can do, if they can do the job or not, because you can see, you can feel it, you can touch it. So employers want you for your competence, not how good you are in the use of a particular tool or technology. Have you done it before? Can you show me you've done it? All right. So this is very important. And for us at 10 Analytics, we call this competence over credentials. So the era of chasing certificates, chasing degrees, going after the next master's, going after the next postgraduate diploma, just because you want to land a job is over. Employers don't care. They know that anybody can sit for an exam and pass the exam. This is what matters to every employer today. So how do you gain the skills? How do you gain the competence? How do you gain the skills? How do you gain the experience? How do you show employers that you have the competence? Okay. So I'm going to walk you through 4 steps of what you need to do. And then Atinuke would come up to speak. Okay. So first things first is to get into a high demand career path. You listen to Emmanuel. Atinuke, who is going to come to speak to us, decided to join a career path that is in high demand. Once you've done this, you're in a high demand career path, you've solved a lot of the problem because you're not worried about do employers need this skill or not. You are sure that they need the skill. So you must get into a career path that is in high demand. And for us, what we do is we identify these high demand areas within the tech ecosystem. We do a job board analysis where we scrape jobs from the major job boards across different economies. We look for the career path, the job titles that employers are hiring for today. It gives us an idea of the demand for those different roles. But we don't stop there. We validate this using a report called the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. It's a report every professional should read. Anybody trying to land a job today should look at this report. Why? Because it shows you the career path that would grow in demand and the career path that will decline in demand over the next 5 to 10 years, about 92 million jobs will be lost in the next 5 to 10 years, and about 170 plus new jobs will be created in the next 5 to 10 years. So the big question is, if I fall into this category of number of jobs that will be lost, then I'm in a big problem. So I want to know the jobs that would grow in demand. So I don't start looking for a job in the next few months, in the next 1 year or the next 2 years, because I've gotten into the wrong career path. Now, the most recent Future of Jobs report was released in January 2025. So let me show you. I also have the link right here. Okay. So remember, fill the attendance so that you have access to all these materials. So if I click on this, it takes me to the reports. We're not likely going to have time to go through these reports because of time, but you'd see this came out in January, the Future of Jobs reports by the World Economic Forum. And I think if you go to page 23, if I'm correct, or 21, page 21, it shows you the career path. At the left-hand side are the career path that would grow. At the right-hand side are the career path that would decline. So you see the job growth and the job decline, 2025, 2030. And you start to see the jobs that would grow. The big data specialists, AI machine learning specialists, security management specialists, your cybersecurity professionals, your big data specialists are your data engineers, data warehousing specialists, your data engineers, UI UX designers. These are your product designers. Okay. Data analysts, data scientists. The name gives away the career path. Information security analysts. These are your cybersecurity professionals, DevOps engineers, data engineers, process automation specialists. These are your business analysts. So we looked at these reports to validate what we had done, the analysis we had carried out, and it became clear to us where the jobs would be that are in high demand today and the jobs that will keep on growing in demand. And finally, we looked at the regional analysis. So we looked at the three major economies. We looked at the UK, the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. So irrespective of all the numerous immigration changes, which career path would give me access to sponsorship, where I can get a COS, I can apply, and I can get my sponsorship. And I'm on my pathway to ILR and eventually citizenship. All right. So we looked at that. We looked at the job titles in the US with the highest H-1B acceptance rates, because this also showed us clearly these are the jobs employers are looking for today. And in Canada, we looked at the provincial nominee programs across different provinces, the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, the Saskatchewan Tech Pathway, the BC Tech Pilot, and so many more. And we came up with 10 career paths that if you find yourself in any of these areas, just like Emmanuel, just like Atinuke, just like Vanessa in France, just like the gentleman in Poland, you would also land a job a lot faster. And these are the 10 areas you want to consider: the business analyst, the data analyst, the data scientist, the agile project manager, the data engineer, the cybersecurity analyst, the HR analyst, the financial analyst, the DevOps engineer, and the product designer. Okay. So the last two, you'd notice that you really did not see any specific success story from here. And that's simply because these are new programs we launched in November. So they are new programs and people just started their journey in DevOps engineering. And a lot of people also registered for the product design. So next year, 2026, you'd start to see people who have landed jobs as product designers, as DevOps engineers, and so on. So this is number one. One thing you have to do: get into a high demand career path. Once you've done that, the next step is to learn the skills required to land these high demand jobs. And not just learn the skill the way you are used to learning, you have to learn the right way. So what does learning the right way means? Two things you have to do to ensure that you've learned the right way. Number one is to learn in a project-based environment, which means you are learning by doing the work. So if you want to get a job as a healthcare data analyst, you are working on projects that will give you the experience of a healthcare data analyst. If you want to land a job as a cybersecurity professional, security operations center analyst, you must be doing the job of a security operations center analyst. If you don't learn that way, if that's not how you are learning the wrong way. And a lot of people learn the wrong way. I've learned the wrong way myself when I was transitioning decades ago. So you must learn the right way. And I'll show you what this means practically, how you learn the right way. And once you've learned the right way, the next step is nobody knows you, nobody cares about you. So you must show the world what you can do, like Carpenter B. You must have a showroom, and that showroom is evidence that you can do the job. And your showroom is your portfolio. So you must build a portfolio to showcase to the world what you can do. And that's how you learn the right way. So once you've identified the career path, the next step is I need to build the skills in that area, not the same way everybody else builds the skills. But I'm going to learn in a project-based environment and I'll build a portfolio. And I'll show you what this looks like practically. Okay. So I'm going to show you somebody's profile very quickly on LinkedIn. His name is Victor. So I'll use Victor's profile to drive this home. Victor joined our data science program. All right. And you'd have no doubts as to what Victor does when you come to his LinkedIn, because you can see clearly what he does. Data scientist, agentic AI automation strategist, and so on. If you go to the contact info, you'd see Victor's showroom. Victor has positioned himself as what? As Carpenter B. So if I click on Victor's showroom, his portfolio, it takes me to Victor's portfolio and I can see his portfolio, which is his personal showroom, like that carpenter. I can walk into that showroom. I can see the different projects he's worked on, AI-powered customer chatbots, loan default prediction, hospital inventory waste and issue analysis, and so on and so forth. Okay, I want to look at the loan default prediction project. I can come in here, I can click on this link, and it takes me to the project. I can read about the project. Okay, so what exactly did he do? What was the introduction? What was the problem statement? And this project is simple. Victor built a machine learning model that could predict customers that were likely going to default on their loan. So the business needed to know we have high non-performing loans. People come, they borrow money, they don't return the money. We need to know customers based on different attributes, gender, location, age, credit score, blah, blah, blah. How do we ensure that this customer would pay us back? So Victor built a machine learning model to do that. Where did he learn to build it? Where did he do this particular work? He did it in class. Okay, so I'm going to take you to the class Victor completed where they built this model and this became part of his work experience. And this is how you learn by doing the job. You learn by doing the work. This is learning in a project-based environment. Okay, so let's go to Victor's classroom very quickly. So this is the full stack data science program. In the machine learning class, if you go to the class material, and you'd see the case study that was worked on in class on that day. If I click on that, let me maximize a little bit so you can see this clearly. Okay, I think it's maximized. So this is Loan Analytics Incorporated. That's the name of the company. Loan default prediction. That was a problem solved. So the same project on Victor's portfolio is exactly what he had built in class. From the problem statements to the rationale for the project, to the data dictionary, the data description, and so on and so forth. And the beauty about this is you don't solve this on your own. You solve it together with your facilitator in class. So if you had missed this class on a Saturday, for example, your live classes happens on Saturdays. If you miss this class for any reason, you can come to the classroom, click on the link, you gain access Okay. You gain access to the class.
Yes, 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 yes.
You can see everything that happened. This is the professional working with you, solving the problem together. You have the opportunity to say, hey, I have a problem. Can I ask a question? I tried to do this. I did not get the same results. Real time feedback. Okay, so this is what Victor did. Worked on this project, completed the project, and what did he do? He added it to his portfolio, just like that carpenter who built a couch and added it to his showroom. So any recruiter can go to Victor's portfolio, anybody. When you get my slide today and you click on that link, it's going to get you to Victor's portfolio. Better still, you can interact with the codes that he had written. If I click on his notebook, I can see exactly what he did. Okay, I can see the codes that he wrote. I can see how he analyzed his data, how he cleaned the data, how he checked for missing values, how he carried out his exploratory data analysis. And this gives me a good idea that if Victor can do this, definitely I need to speak to him and bring him into the company. This is how recruiters identify that you are the right person for the job. Just like you all agreed that Carpenter B was the right person simply because Carpenter B showed what he had done, evidence, experience that he had done the job. Very important. That's how you learn in a project-based environment, and you must also showcase your work. The third thing you have to do after you've selected a high-demand career path, you've learned the right way by learning in a project-based environment and also showcasing your work. You must gain experience. Show employers you are the best candidate. And how do you gain experience with us? When you join us, you don't join us as a student. We don't call you students. Okay? You join us as a contractor or a consultant. Okay. And you have that on your CV, you have that on your LinkedIn. So when any recruiter sees you, they know categorically that you are the right person for the job. Why? Because you are already on that role. And recruiters would want you to provide them with references. So show me where you've done this before. Can any organization vouch for you? And we can vouch for you. So I'll give you an example of how that plays out as well. Okay. I told you I was going to show you Toyin's profile. I'm going to come back and I'll really elaborate on Toyin's profile. Okay. Toyin, who had experience in aviation, got a job as a project coordinator in Canada. If you go to her experience, one of the first things you'd see is what? Project coordinator. With who? With Tenalytics on contracts as a contractor. Toyin had no project management experience. She worked in planning back in Nigeria with the NCAA. I mentioned that earlier, administrative officer, general manager. But what did we do? We took project management related keywords and skills and we added it to her previous work experience because they included that already. For example, developed and executed comprehensive program management frameworks, enhancing project delivery timelines, and optimizing resource allocation. This sounds like project management. Okay. Implementing strategic planning process, aligning organizational goals, and so on and so forth. Led stakeholder engagement initiatives. Okay. Established and maintained new organizational structure, monitored and evaluated project performance metrics. So project management related responsibilities, we included that into our previous experience because she had done similar stuff before. And she also listed Tenalytics as work experience. So what does that do for you? It shows any employer trying to hire you that you have the experience and you're also on that role. So when they request for a reference, we provide you with a reference. And that's how she landed this job as a project coordinator in Canada. So it's very important. You must know how to show your experience. Okay. So that's what you must do. Number three, gain the experience to show employers. And practically, you gain experience from the projects that you complete in class, your internship with us. So when you join Tenalytics, you have every program has 2 months internship. So you learn for 6 months and then you intern for 2 months with our sister company, Amdari. So the internship gives you the opportunity to collaborate. You listen to Emmanuel, where he said, I collaborated on project. This gave me, gave me the ability to work in a team, gain collaboration skills and so on, interpersonal skills and so on and so forth. And the beauty is you can list Tenalytics and Amdari as part of your work experience. And Amdari operates out of London in the UK and Alberta in Canada. So you have the unique opportunity of listing work experience both in the UK and also in Canada. And finally, you must show evidence in the form of a portfolio. I showed you what a portfolio looks like. And there are so many portfolios, the business analyst portfolio, the data engineer portfolio. This is GAD. GAD, the gentleman who landed a job in data engineering, GAD August. Okay. If you check out, this is his own profile, the different projects he's completed. Okay, I can go to his repositories and I can see the different projects he's completed. I can click on that. And just like I saw for Victor, I can see exactly what GAD has done. And if you go to GAD's profile on LinkedIn as well, that's GAD right there. If you go to his profile on LinkedIn, you'd also see something very interesting, which is what? He worked as a data engineer with us. And that enabled him land this job with the NHS in the UK. So work experience is absolutely crucial because just like Carpenter B, employers want to know that you've done this before and you can do it for them. Okay. So that's very important. And finally, number 4 is job reference. A lot of people ignore this, but it's very important. Recruiters would always reach out for you to provide a reference for them. Where have you done this job before? Where have you executed and utilized the skills, the tools, the technologies you say you can use? So we provide you with a job reference. This is what a job reference looks like practically. Okay. These are candidates who got a job with the NHS as a senior project manager, and the organization, NHS, would reach out. Dear Deza Suleiman, this candidate has listed you as to provide a reference. Okay. Simply click on this link, fill the details. They want to get some details about you. They want to do a background check to be sure that you can do the job. And we validate those skills for you. And that's what enables you land the job. So if you look at where we started from number 1, getting into a high demand career path, we use this framework called the Learn framework. So you select one of the high demand career path and you need to learn the skills. You learn and you learn the right way by doing what? Learning in a project-based environment and showcasing your skills. But you also know that learning the skills is not enough. You need more than that. And that's where we call packaging, what we call packaging. Packaging is you presenting and positioning yourself as the best candidate for the job. So when you see the way God had listed his experience, you saw the way Toyin had listed her experience, the way she couched what she did in aviation to make it sound a whole lot like the project management related role that she wanted to get. That was done during LinkedIn optimization. So we optimize your LinkedIn profile for you. We show you exactly how to have the right LinkedIn profile. If you don't have one, we show you how to build one. Your CV, we revamp this for you. We revamp your CV. All right. And this, we show you how to optimize the CV afterwards, how to tailor the CV to job requirements. So when you have the industry standard CV from us, we then show you, you watch a video created by me showing you how to tailor your CV to jobs. So you know exactly how to apply, how to ensure that your CV passes the ATS and you get called for an interview. You must build a portfolio. I've shown you what a portfolio looks like. If you want to see what a data analyst portfolio looks like, let's see if we can bring up one. Okay, I'm going to show you. Let's bring up a data analyst portfolio very quickly. Okay, I'm going to click on that on I thought I was just going to be able to type and bring it up, but there are numerous portfolios for the business analysts, for the data engineers, for the project managers. If I click on this, it takes me to Victoria's portfolio. Victoria is a data analyst, worked on different projects in healthcare, medical related projects. So when you ask the question, how does a teacher become a healthcare data reporting analyst? They worked on projects in healthcare while learning how to use Excel, Power BI, and all those tools. So I can come in here and click on any of the links and see exactly what this person built, solving this project for an ER, emergency room in a hospital, using Tableau. This is Victoria's showroom, just like Carpenter B, once again. And there are so many projects on aviation, logistics, and so on and so forth. Okay. So it's very important that you understand it's not just learning the skills. You will have your CV, your LinkedIn. Then we have the mentorship sessions. Okay. I'm going to show you what that looks like after um, Atinuke has come to speak. So you have your mentorship sessions, interview prep. When you have an interview, all you have to do is log into your LMS, the learning management system. So everybody has access to the learning management system. You click on the dashboard, it takes you to your dashboard. And when you have an interview, all you have to do is what? Go to where you have interview prep, click on the link that says schedule mock interview. You fill all the details, you upload the CV you used to apply to that job, copy and paste the job description, and you book an interview prep. Somebody would prepare you for that interview. You have a mock interview, one-on-one conversation, and you know exactly what to say when you get into the room. And I talked about the reference. When you want a reference, you list us as one of your references, and the organization will reach out to us. And we also have on-the-job support. So once you've gotten the job, there's a project that's a little bit difficult for you. You can always come back to us. We'll guide you on what to do, what to focus on, how to ask the right questions, so you are able to go past that particular stumbling block. All right. And finally, where to apply and how to apply. So for all the people you've seen so far that have gotten jobs, success stories, they knew how to tailor their CVs. They knew the number of jobs they needed to apply to. They knew where to apply and how to apply. And one of the things we do is for those who got sponsorship, you saw sponsorship roles and so on and so forth. We scrape jobs from different job boards and we make those jobs available to you. For example, let's go into this classroom. All right. So just the way you have your learning management system, the LMS, which is for your self-paced class. Your self-paced is where you don't have to join classes every day. Your classes happens on Saturdays. So on a Monday, if you want to learn, what do? You come into your LMS. If you've registered for financial analytics, you'd see that right there. You click on continue learning and you are able to watch different videos at any point in time. Any day, anytime, anywhere, you can watch your videos. Okay. You want to learn how to do something around SQL as a financial analyst. You come in here, go to your classes. You want to learn how to use aggregation functions. You click on that and you can watch, practice, solve the problems. And this is how you learn in a self-paced class. Okay. The same way you have your self-paced classes, you also have your live classes. Your live class is what I showed you earlier. You jump into a class, you have a facilitator who's going to work with you, and you solve problems together. Okay. So let's look at what the jobs, where to apply to jobs. The jobs we scrape for you and make available. So if you go to your classroom, your live classroom, you'd see where you upload your CV. We revamp the CV for you. We show you how to tailor your CV and so on. You have something called job offers. Every Sundays, we post jobs that we've scraped from different job boards, and we know that these are the jobs you can get. So you come in here, you click on that, and you'd see different jobs, the ones that come with sponsorship, the ones that don't, and this is where you start to apply to those jobs. okay, across the UK, across the US, across Canada. So before you go apply on other platforms, you start from here because these are the jobs we script and we've made available to you. Okay. So, and this is what gives you access to land interviews a lot faster. So I can see these jobs, sponsorship, data analyst, business intelligence, PMO analyst, and so on and so forth. All right. So you know exactly what to do. You know where to apply. You know how to apply. If you are in data analytics and you are watching a video or you missed a class, you want to speak to somebody, you have something called a drop-in session. Emmanuel talked about it. You click on this, you click on the link, and you book a slot available. So because we are closed in December, all right, we close on the 20th of December and we resume back on the 3rd of January 2020. So you have dates available. You come into the calendar, you click on that, and you book a time and a slot where somebody, for example, from the 5th of January, after we've resumed, you want to have a one-on-one. You have a problem, you need somebody to sit down with you and solve that problem. You come in here, you book a time available that suits your schedule, and somebody, say 1 p.m., for example, I click on next. What program am I in? I'm in data analytics. I joined the December cohort, the January cohort, I joined in December. I click on that. I'm having issues with my portfolio or issues with my Microsoft Excel or Power BI. Explain the issues, and then you book a session. Somebody will join the call live, help you address that problem. So you are never left behind, even though you are a beginner in that particular area. You have Upwork optimization, the mentorship sessions, and so on. So we had our last mentorship session for the year on Thursday. Okay. It's the end of the year. What next? I took this session. So for the mentorship sessions, if you missed any session, you can always come here, watch the videos, click on that. You'd see what happened. So that's me right this there. Session. Okay. So that's me right there, walking you through what to do to prepare for the new year. Okay. How to create a personal brand. All right. So this is what your mentorship looks like. And we looked at how to create a goal, distill it down to objectives, distill it down to systems and actions and so on. All right. So you have the opportunity to interact with professionals during your mentorship, LinkedIn optimization, global talent immigration for those in the UK who want to go the global talent route to get the global talent visa and so on and so forth. All right. So everything we've said today can be summarized into these three buckets of learn, package, and apply. And this is what gets you the job. This is what Atinuke did, and Atinuke landed a job. So if Atinuke is still on the call, I'm going to bring in Atinuke very quickly. I can see a lot of interactions in the chat. If you haven't filled the attendance, this is what you need to do now. Fill the attendance so that you don't miss out on anything shared in today's session. Okay, Atinuke is still here with us. Hi, Atinuke. How are you doing today? Thanks for joining us, Atinuke. If you can hear me, okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring Atinuke
Hello.
to the spotlight. Let me see, add spotlight. All right, fantastic. So we can see you now, Atinuke. Where are you joining us from?
I'm from UK, from London.
London,
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you.
So I shared a bit about your story, Atinuke. You joined data science. When did you join the data science program?
I joined February this year, 2025.
February this year. Fantastic. So I want you to just tell, there are so many people on the call here today. And one thing I've seen, the problem I've seen with so many people is taking that first step. Oh, will I be able to do it? This seems too much for me. Can I get into this career path? And there's always that fear over analysis, which leads to paralysis eventually. Can I take that first step? Okay, so for somebody here today thinking of jumping into one of the programs, say the data science program, just like you did, what would you say to them? What would you advise them to do?
Um, Well, I don't know how to, because if I talk about it, it will look like I'm exaggerating. So I would say it's a step I took that I'm very happy. I can say that's one big decision I can say I've taken, coming into the UK. Though for me, I had this passion, like this zeal, not to settle for less. And sorry, I said to myself before leaving Nigeria, one of the reasons why I didn't want to come to London or travel out of the country when I was in Nigeria was that I can't imagine being at the top in Nigeria, working in a high position in Nigeria, then coming to the UK, settling for care job or something. I came in through this master's route. And while I was in school then, I was thinking, what will I do? What can I do? Where will I start from? But I just know I don't want to be a carer. I'm sorry if there's any carer in the house here, but please pardon me. It's personal. Like I just don't want to do it. I'm a mother and I want a balanced family life. I can't imagine going for night shift. I've never done night shift. I'm not a nurse, so I don't have to be a nurse by force. So I have a background in computer science, right, from Nigeria. And although when I was in Nigeria, I didn't work as a in anything computer or IT. I worked as a business manager. And when I got here, I my master's was in health informatics. And so while I was doing health informatics, you know, I stumbled on it has to do with data in health. It has to do with um artificial intelligence in health and machine learning and so much, but it was theoretical. It has nothing to do, it was not really practical like that. And I was looking for what I really could do to put me in that, kind of job that I wanted. And I was scrolling past Facebook, looking for places until I stumbled on analytics on Facebook, and then I joined a master class like this. And I wanted to pay for one section like that. I don't know, I paid, but the it didn't go through, the payment didn't go through. So I knew that was God. That God wanted. Immediately I just joined this section like this. I knew this was it. Like this was what was for me. And I can say I've not regretted. I'm a proud, like I'm using it to do shakara. Let me just put it like that. I joined this section. It has really changed my life. It has changed my work, like it has improved my worth. And it has I can see I'm a tech person, like I'm an IT personnel, like full time. Sorry. I'm sorry I'm acting like this, but I'm so happy I joined analytics is one big achievement for me in 2025. And joining the classes was wonderful. I've got good our teachers, instructors, the likes of Ifeanyi. Ifeanyi was very great. Um, what's his name? Opeyemi. All of them, they all were very good. And Fokpe is not an instructor anyway, but she's the coordinator. But however, she's very naughty. She's the one that dragged me here. They were all very, very wonderful. And then moving on to Amdari, where I'm still undergoing our internship. So I would say that Tenalytics helped me to prepare for this job that I got. I got two jobs, in short, on the same day. I got two offers on the same day, one as a reporting analyst in a charity organization, and the other as a senior research analyst. So tell me, which would you choose, senior or just a reporting? So, and that is, yeah, I got the senior research analyst in the civil service in the UK. And I would say that I'll want to use my experience while I was interviewing for this role. I interviewed for many roles. Sorry, I have cold. I interviewed for many roles. I've gone for so many interviews. I've had so many no's. I would say that let that no, you get no's. You might not, but if you get no's, just know that just keep moving. It was a learning curve for me. It was a learning process for me. Um, the funny thing is that this role that I got at each interview, some of the interviews I'm being asked to. do a presentation on what I've done before, on an analysis I've done before. It might not relate really to what we did in class or something like that, but this particular one that I have as a senior research analyst, they didn't give me any data. They didn't give me data. They just told me, um, do an analysis on, I mean, do a presentation on analysis that you've done before. And I looked at the job description, like I looked at what they do, and I found out that they do something that has to do with regression analysis. And I felt, okay, that was what I was going to present on. And so I went back to our project that we've done in class. We did one project on hotel events, something that has to do with regression analysis, doing from logistic regression to then picking random forest and all that. And so I was given 5 minutes to make that presentation. And don't forget, I've had many rejections before that. So I prepared, I changed some things in the so as to make the presentation look, using their color, using the company's color code, doing all that. I've had many interview prep with Ifeanyi, and so I've already understood many things that I had to do. So I made the presentation. The presentation was just for 5 minutes. Oh my God. They bombarded me with questions. Why did you do this? Why was this? Why did you choose? Why is your choice? Oh, you started with logistic regression and then moved to random forest. Why did you move to random forest? What was they were just bombarding me with questions. Oh, how do you do this? Probably it's short. The questions were so much. And on that 5 minute presentation, and and they told me after answering all their questions, after the presentation, aside from the analysis, they asked me other questions. And one thing I noticed is that communication, being composed, um, and being ready, is one thing that one has to learn for you to, I mean, pass an interview. And I was able to in short, I didn't know I was going to be called sincerely because I've had many rejections. And when I saw it, oh my God, I was shaking. My body was shaking, like, oh my God, this job at the end of the day, that was the first job that came the same day. The offer came on November 10th, and I got that. And in that same day, in the evening, the second job came on the same. I said, God, so as in all my stress paid off at the end of the day. So I would say joining analytics is something that I don't know enough word not be able to describe how what you're going to gain from joining analytics. It has added to my worth. It has when I was in Nigeria, all the tools I'm using right now, even though I was a computer scientist, I don't know how those tools will. I can now, work with Python. I can now work collaboratively, understand how to work collaboratively, understand so many things, as in time will not permit me to start mentioning all that is needed. So it's a step that I don't know what to say. If you really know you want the best for yourself, you have a good picture, a great picture for yourself, and not just to settle for the normal Nigerian mentality. Sorry to use Nigerian, of when you come here, people will tell you this is the way, this is how things are done. You want to do the things, you want to do something
Yeah,
different from what every other person does.
yeah,
You want to do something different. When I was doing 10 analytics, I had many people that was telling me it's not possible, it's very hard, oh, it's not this. So many people were like, it's not possible, you can't get it. So things that will set you back and not make you push, please push. And even the immigration rule now has even made it mandatory for
everybody
immigrants
to
to
push.
choose the best. Like the way
Good.
the immigration stuff is going now, you can't even settle for care
You
or
have no you
settle
have no
for you
choice.
have no
You have
choice
to
now.
push.
The thing now
Yeah,
is you have no choice. You just have to upskill and
yeah,
be up there. And I don't see for me, another thing for me was I need return on investment. I've spent a lot, 20,000 plus of school fees and then I'll not settle for something that will not make me. Now I can work from home, I can work hybrid, I stay at home, I have time for my children, I'm not under stress. So I don't know what else I want to say to anybody that is on this
I
call.
mean,
Yeah, I think there's nothing much I want
yeah,
to say. So the little I've
fantastic.
said you should be
Yeah,
able to, grasp, and with everything, what's it called? that Adeza said before now, I think it's enough for you to know that I don't know how many success stories. So when I saw those success stories, I was like, there was no need for me to come up again to say anything
Is that
because
your story is beautiful, Atinuke. I
there was
think
nothing, there's no that with nothing for me to say because those are the
yeah,
things I also heard that made me
yeah,
join
yeah.
analytics. Now at Amdari, even though I've gotten a job, I'm still at Amdari. I'm still working collaboratively with people,
For
and
your
I
internship.
got, I got just like you said, I got all the support, that was promised at the beginning of the program. So if you're on this call and you're still doubting, you're sitting on a long thing, you're wasting your time. Just join now. That's all I can say. Please, Adiza, this one I'm doing. I know that this thing, I didn't collect money. You collect it's not that I'm collecting money because of, but I don't know why I'll
Yeah,
be saying this thing for people that they'll gain and have money from it. And at the end of the day, you get what I mean? I'm just joking. This on lighter
yeah,
notes. But
absolutely.
everybody should everybody on this call, if you want something good for yourself, join the analytics. You will not regret it.
Absolutely, absolutely fantastic. I mean,
So if there's
I
any
had more
question,
questions. I had more questions, but you've
you said-
answered all the questions. You've answered everything from when you started till you
you can
ended.
go
I
ahead. If
mean,
there's any other question, if anybody has any question, there's no
yeah, I'm
problem.
just
I'm
checking
on
the
the call.
chat to see if there are questions. Okay. See, Chidi says, take your rose flowers. That's in okay. Let me see. If there's any question, just type it into the chat. Oh, is the interview prep free or paid? Atinuke, did you pay extra for
No, no, no.
interview prep?
I didn't pay extra. And I
Yeah,
also use this medium to give kudos to Ifeanyi.
yeah.
I don't know, if I did very well for me. I know there was a time I had a senior data analyst role in NHS, one of the NHS, and actually I was supposed to pass that interview, but it's not about me not passing the interview. It's about what he did for me, how he prepared me for that interview was even if I didn't get that job as at that time, it prepared me for other jobs. At a point, I was
Absolutely.
like, there was no point in stopping him again for every interview that come my way because he has done so much as to preparing me for interviews. So I didn't pay anything. It was just free. It was part of
Fantastic.
the
So,
package.
yeah, for the person that asked the question, it's part of the package. Once you register, the interview comes with it. And the beauty again is, even Atinuke wants to move to another role and she has interviews, she can come back to us. So on the platform is lifetime access. So you have lifetime access to the platform. You can always come back and we'll be there to support you. For us, our bragging right is people like Atinuke. We can proudly say we worked with Atinuke and see where Atinuke is today. I was telling somebody the other day, Atinuke, I was in Manchester one time at the train station and I just heard somebody shouting my name. There's a. And I was wondering that who is shouting my name at the station? And then a lady walked up to me and she said, oh, I registered with Analytics last year and I got a job, blah, blah, blah. And I was so happy. I gave her a hug. It was super amazing. And for us, that's the bragging rights, you know. Like you said, not settling for less. I had that mentality. So many people had the mental. I studied in the UK myself, and I know the mentality. And the people you meet when you move to a new country are very fundamental to your
Exactly.
direction, your trajectory. If you
Exactly.
meet people who would, focus on specific areas, like you said, no offense to anybody doing care, because people do that to it's like a stopgap for
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
Okay, I'll
yeah,
do this for now, take care
yeah,
of my bills,
yeah.
and then I move into other stuff. So
By the
it
way,
depends on what
let me say this.
yes, go ahead.
One thing that helped me was sorry, I've never done care. Because I don't want to. Another advantage I took was that while I was studying, my husband gave me that room to study. And so he was working and I was studying, upskilling, and always on the computer from one program to another. And that was an advantage for me.
That's
Like,
good.
I don't want this. So since I have this advantage, let me quickly use it and, upskill and get something. So like Adeza said, this is not for anybody because I know people don't really like it. This is just like a challenge for somebody that feels it's not possible or you're hearing people telling you it's not possible. Please, it's possible to land a job as a senior. I landed the job as a senior research analyst. In short, there were many other jobs that if they can be picking me for those jobs, like for those high roles that pays, high figures, that means you're fit. Your application already shows you're fit, and
Yes.
enter the room and
Yeah.
just go with the mindset that for them to have called you for the interview, then you are
That's good
fit.
enough.
You don't have to be
Yes.
intimidated by their faces, their
Yes.
colors, or
Yep.
whatever. You are
Yep.
fit for the role. I learned that, while, trying to, get myself to this stage.
All right, phenomenal. Absolutely fantastic. I think you've pretty much answered all the questions in the chat. Sylvia, I'm going to answer that question as I move on. I'm on the fence about data science, data analytics, what factors. I'll explain that so you have a good picture of what you want to do. Atinuke, we deeply appreciate you coming, taking our time to come speak to us today, speak to people who are also looking to get started. We appreciate you, stepping out. It's usually not very easy for people to come do this. So we deeply appreciate you coming in to do this for us. Okay. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Thank
And
you.
I'll just wrap up the session from here. Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Atinuke.
Okay. Yeah.
Deeply appreciate you coming around. So that's Atinuke. Okay. I shared Atinuke's story just in the form of a slide, the same way I shared so many people's story as well. So Atinuke, we reached out to her to come share. And the reason why this is important is simply because a lot of people want to see others that have done what they're trying to do. Okay. I know that it's possible for me to do the same. And listening to Atinuke, you know clearly that it is possible. Okay. So what I'm going to do for those of you sitting on the fence, I'll share a link with you. So it's a recommendation. It's a recommender system where you answer a few questions and it would recommend specific career path based on your past work experience, based on your personality. And what I'll do is if you still have questions around, I'm confused if I should do this or that, I would walk you through exactly what to do. Okay. So I'll share the link in the chat and then I'll walk you through how to answer all the questions. And once you answer the question, you'd have an idea of exactly the program for you to get started in. So let me share that very quickly. I'm still blown away by Atinuke's story, by the way. Okay, the link is in the chat already. So if you check the chat, you'd see a link from Adeze. If you click on that link, it takes you into this particular quiz. It takes you to this quiz. So I'll show you the quiz. I'll click on the link as well. So you get, okay, let me click on it from the chat so I get exactly what you'd be seeing. So click on the link in the chat. It's going to open up into this quiz. And when you answer the questions, it would guide you, direct you on the program to select. Now, this is not set in stone. What you want to do is more important than the recommendation you get. So you might get a recommendation to do this, but if you listen to Atinuke carefully, she knew exactly what she wanted. Oh, I want to do this. I want to get a job in data science. This is what I want to do. So usually that conviction on what you want to do is what propels you, even when things get a little bit, you know, shaky for you during your journey. Atinuke is still doing her internship. She's not done. So when you work with us, like I explained, you learn for 6 months and then you intern for 2 months. And if you listen to her carefully, she's still doing her internship with Amdari, our sister company. She's not done with the internship and she's landed a job. So one of the reasons why that happens very often is because we don't wait for you to finish before you start applying. The moment you have the skills, you are skilled enough to start applying to jobs, we push you to start applying. We prep you for your interviews. Like you heard, she was prepped by Ifeanyi. She mentioned Ifeanyi so many times. Ifeanyi is the was the data science facilitator responsible for Atinuke's class. So click on the link. It's going to bring you to this particular place. You click on Discover Your Path. All right. Let's go. Okay. You enter your details, your first name, your email, Mobile, I'm just going to enter 780-716. Okay, enter your mobile, enter your email. So the reason why you want to enter your email is so you receive the recommendation when you are done. All right. So you click, I want to receive communication. So you get that email after you've, completed the assessment. So once you've done this, you click on next and you'll be asked a few questions. So answer the question that clearly aligns with your goals or your situation at the moment. So what's your current job situation? Do you have a job? Do you teach or train people? Do you fix problems? Do you make things like design and all of that? Or you are between jobs, career switching, freelancing? Select the one that clearly aligns with your current situation. Okay. So let's say I'm between jobs, for example. It's a Sunday afternoon. What are you most likely going to do? Okay. So I would most likely watch reality TV shows and so on. So I click on that. You click on what best represents you. Okay. Your boss asks, why isn't this working? What would you do? So select any option. So let's say for me, I would say I would think about, no, I'll check if people have the right training or support. All right. Excel, Google Sheets. What's your vibe? Okay. So I'd say that I want to learn, but I'm starting from scratch. Okay. So again, choose what best suits your current situation and all of that. So someone says you should learn to code. What's your reaction? Um, let's see. Maybe light coding. So I select that. I want just light coding. Pick your dream work environment. So I want to work somewhere where I have my headphones on, deep focus, solving complex problems. Click on next. What matters most to you right now? I want to get a job ASAP. I want stability. I want ready. I want to be ready. I want steady corporate roles with clear career growth. Leadership. I want to guide teams, own projects. So let's select the stability. That's what I'll select anyway. So you select what you want. What legacy do you want to leave? So I want to leave a legacy where um, designed experience, or let's say predicted the future and kept us ahead of competitors. So now, what particular role or particular career path feels right for you? Okay, what particular career path feels right? Feel free to select anyone. There are 10 of them. Okay, so let's say for me, I would select just like Atinuke, or let me not select, let's select something else. I'd select maybe data engineering or business analysis. Let me select business analysis and I click here right at the bottom, tap here, and you'd see what the career path that it gives to you. So mine says the strategist, business analysis. Okay. And from here, I can do two things. I can either decide to register for business analysis directly, pay for it and register, or I can speak to a career coach. So if I click on speak to a career coach, I can speak to somebody on Monday. I can speak to someone on Wednesday. And of course, you have the holidays. You can speak to somebody on the 29th, depending, and they would walk you through the questions if you have questions and so on and so forth. Okay. Or you can simply register for that particular program. I'll show you how to register later as we wrap up our session. All right. I want you to type into the chat. What did you get when you clicked on it? What did you get when you filled and completed the quiz? Data science. Some of you got data science. Oh, somebody's sending a message. I think I can see something from Oladipo. Oladipo says, my story is similar to Atinuke. I joined Analytics in May this year for BA. I have job offers in the home office. as a data analyst, and I have just started my internship at Amdari. Fantastic. Oladipo. Adelby got data analyst. Chidi got data analyst, business analyst from Pina. Pina Colada. Is that your real name? That would be an interesting name. So let's get more feedback. Let me know what you got. And for those of you who have confusion, do I do project management or this, or do I do data analytics or data science? I'm going to walk you through. Okay, so you have a good idea of exactly what you need to do. So let's look at all the career path one after the other very quickly. The business analyst and the tools and technologies you need to learn. Okay. So as a business analyst, your focus is to help organizations become more efficient, ensure that their processes are optimized. So you want to see the current process, identify the gaps and inefficiencies within the process, and come up with solutions that would cover those gaps and inefficiencies. Okay, so let's say you work for Amazon. Amazon delivers to Prime customers in 2 days. Is it possible for us to deliver in 24 hours? Where are the gaps in our process currently? How do I eliminate those gaps? How do we automate what we do so that we can deliver to customers in 24 hours? Those are the kind of questions and the type of problems you'll be approaching as a business analyst. So for you to do this, you will start by learning some data skills. So as a business analyst, you would understand how to use Excel, Power BI, and SQL. And because you'd work with processes, understanding how a process starts from point A to how the process ends at point B, you must know how to map out processes, process mapping using tools like Lucidchart, Draw.io. You must know how to manage projects as a business analyst, because when you map out this process and identify gaps in between, some of those gaps would require automation, applications and software to be built. You would work with the technology team to ensure that those applications and software are built to meet the requirements of the company. And you would manage those projects. So you'd learn project initiation planning, Agile and Scrum for project, and the software development lifecycle. So while working on projects, you'd learn how to use Confluence to collaborate, Trello to track your team members' responsibilities, Jira to track project deliverables, and Azure DevOps to ensure that you complete projects using the Scrum methodology and the Scrum framework and the Agile methodology. You'd learn requirement fundamentals, elicitation, asking the right questions to get the results, the requirements that you need to solve problems. You'd learn how to manage stakeholders, because when you manage projects, when you have to speak to people internally and externally, your customers and the rest, you will have to learn how to manage and analyze your stakeholders. And of course, you'd learn ChatGPT for the business analyst. Okay, so these are the tools, technologies, and the skills that you need to land a job as a business analyst. Now, the business analyst, if you don't want to code, okay, so for someone like Atinuke, she had to learn how to use Python. As a business analyst, you're not learning how to code. You're not doing anything Python. You're not doing anything coding. It's a no code career path for you. It's a high demand career path with an average salary in the UK of about £52,000. In the US, about $85,000 on the average. In Canada, about 74,000 Canadian dollars, thereabouts. Usually more than this, especially in Canada. But just to give you the average, that's the business analyst. For the agile project manager, you are responsible for planning, coordinating, and delivering projects. So most of the products you use today, your applications on your phone and all those different products, your mobile banking application, your web application, the Zoom application we are currently on today, was built by a team who was managed by an agile project manager. So the agile project manager utilizes something called the agile methodology, which allows them to deploy products incrementally. When you use Zoom, 3 years ago or during the period of COVID, Zoom did not have a lot of things that it has today. Now Zoom has so many features. So the question is, why didn't they wait until Zoom was the perfect application before they launched Zoom? Which is what the traditional project management methodology does. You have to build everything and then you deploy. But Agile would say that, okay, Zoom needs to have the meeting feature. You should be able to share your screen and you should be able to share your video and audio. And just based on those few features, we can launch the app. Let's launch the app. Let people start using the app. And as they use the app and give us feedback, now we know that, okay, we should have a button for people to annotate and draw on their screen. So the Agile project manager gets feedback in the loop of the project. And based on the feedback, they continue making the product better to suit the users of that particular product. The only way you can do that is using the Agile methodology. And the Agile methodology has so many frameworks. The Scrum framework is one of them. Kanban is one of them. The SAFe framework is one of them, and so on and so forth. So you are a project manager focused on projects within the IT space, within the technology space. And that's where the jobs are today. Not the traditional project management anymore, but the agile project management. So you'd learn Jira for tracking your project deliverables. You'd learn Trello to collaborate on projects. You'd learn Confluence to collaborate with different team members on projects and manage team members' responsibilities and tasks using Trello. So you'd learn introduction to project management, the project management skills and communications, foundations of Agile and Scrum, the Agile framework, understanding the framework, the Scrum artifacts, end-to-end use of Jira to manage projects, to track projects. You'd learn the Agile metrics and reporting, the velocity charts, the burn up charts, the burn down charts in projects. You'd learn leadership and reward application. You'd learn, and we prepare you for the professional Scrum Master examination. The project managers in the US are in high demand, super high demand. Six figures in the US, over $100,000, £53,000 in the UK, and $97,000 Canadian dollars in Canada. Again, like the Agile project manager, just like the business analyst, you don't need to have any knowledge, any experience. Anybody can get into these areas. You'd learn the skills for 6 months. So this is not your become a project manager in 2 weeks. You'd learn for 6 months and then you have your 2 months internship. Atinuke mentioned that she's still undergoing her internship at the moment and she's landed a job already. So it doesn't matter where you are. Atinuke is in the UK. Emmanuel, you listen to Emmanuel's video where he spoke about getting a job in Bank of America. Emmanuel is in the US. So it doesn't matter where you are. On Saturdays in the UK, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., you have a class tailored for you. If you're in the US or Canada, North America, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Time, there's a class dedicated to you as well. So Saturdays is when you have your live class. Every other day, you're on the LMS, the Learning Management System, and you have lifetime access as a Tenalytics participant. So for Atinuke, if she moved to the US sometime, maybe the next 3, 4, 5 years, or she wants to move into a more senior role, a high paying role from where she is today, all she needs to do is log into the LMS, book an interview prep session, and somebody will still prep her for that interview. You get that type of service from us. Okay. Every other day apart from Saturday, you are on the LMS, the learning management system. You are watching your videos, you're practicing, you are revising, and so on. So 6 months learning in class, and then you have 2 months internship. Now let's go to the data engineering program. Data engineering is phenomenal. And the best way to explain what a data engineer does is simply put as the data engineers ensure that data is available. So imagine the bank. The banks have different sources, different systems where data is generated. You have your mobile application. So we all have our mobile apps on our phones. If you're in Nigeria, you have the GT Bank UBA. If you're in the UK, you have Lloyds Bank, NatWest, Starling Bank, Revolut, and the rest, and so on. You have a mobile app, you can carry out transactions. Okay. That mobile app, whenever you make a transaction, has a database where that app is stored, where the transactions are stored. I beg your pardon. The banks also have web apps. Okay. Transactions are also carried out on the web apps. Every transaction that is executed creates a data point, and the data is also stored in the web app database. You have the POS, you have the ATMs and the rest. So every single source where data is generated, they are stored somewhere. If we want to know out of all these platforms, which platform in this bank, let's call this NAT, let's not say NatWest so that we don't implicate NatWest. Let's say Nat North Bank. They want to know which platform has the highest number of fraudulent transactions. Is it the ATM? Is it the POS? Is it the mobile app, the web app? They want to answer this question in an organization, in a bank, and they have different sources where data is generated. Somebody needs to make this data available. So the data engineers create pipelines, data pipelines, ETL pipelines, and they move the data across all these different sources into a central location called the data warehouse. So what's the role of the data engineer? They make data available. Wherever data is generated across different systems and sources, they get the data using ETL pipelines, extract, transform, and load pipelines. And they move the data from the different sources into a central location for easy access. So the data analyst, the data scientist, the business analyst, the HR analyst, the financial analyst can get data from this data warehouse and use that data to answer the questions they want to answer. So it's safe to say that without the data engineer in an organization, other data professionals cannot do their jobs. And that's why they're so important. So that's what the data engineer does. So you'd learn about data engineering, you'd learn SQL and Python. So if you're somebody running away from coding, you'd find coding here. All the ETL pipelines you'd build to move data from different sources is built using Python. So you can't run away from coding. You'd learn Linux for your bash scripting. You'd learn how to get data from different sources, databases, APIs from the web. You'd learn Apache Spark and Airflow to automate your pipelines. So even when you're not there, you don't have to be there to manually move data. You use technologies like Spark, Airflow to automate the pipeline. So data keeps on extracting from the different sources, moving into the data warehouse. You'd learn GCP and Azure, Google Cloud Platform and Microsoft Azure. These are cloud platforms where you store data somewhere in the cloud for easy access across multiple locations. You learn version control with GitHub and GitHub Copilot and ChatGPT for AI as a data engineer. So for somebody who wants to go into data engineering, you will learn how to code. The question is, can I learn how to code? Absolutely. The program is designed for the absolute beginner. We don't expect you to have any knowledge or any understanding of Python, SQL, Linux, nothing. You come in fresh into the class, and for 6 months, you'd learn how to utilize these skills. And you further apply those skills in your 2 months internship. All right. So this is very important. Then you have the data scientist and the data analyst. So for the person who asked the question, I'm confused on data science or data analytics. Which one do I choose? Which one do I go for? Let me explain it this way. Now that the data engineer has made data available in the data warehouse, Let's call this the DW. We want to answer a question, okay? We work with Netflix. And Netflix wants to know how many new subscribers did we get in 2025? How many new subscribers did we get in 2025? That is a question called descriptive. What we are going to do is called descriptive analytics. Okay? Descriptive. And this is asking the question or answering the question, what happened? So for Netflix to ask the question, how many new subscribers did we get in 2025? They want to know what happened with our subscribers in 2025. That's question number one. Question number two, I'm going to get to that as we answer question number one. So the data engineer in Netflix have made data available in the data warehouse. As a data analyst, one of my major responsibility is to always answer this question, what happened? Descriptive analytics. So I'll take my Power BI or Excel and all of that and SQL, and I'll analyze and do a chart like this. So let's say this is Q1, Q2, Q3, and this is Q4. And in Q1, let's say we had 1,000 subscribers. Q2, we had 3,000 subscribers. Q3, we had 200 subscribers. And Q4, we had 1,200 subscribers. This is what happened. So I'm going to get data from the data warehouse. I'll use Excel, Power BI, any of those tools to analyze, and I'll do up a chart like this. Now, for those of you looking at what I've done, between Q1 to Q4, if this is presented to you, what questions would you ask? What questions would you ask? Looking at Q1 to Q4, what questions would you ask? Just type it into the chat. Q1, we had 1,000 customers. Okay. Q2, we had 3,000 customers. Q3, we had 200. Q4, we had 1,200. And you are the CEO, and they present this to you. You would ask a question, definitely. What question would you ask? iPhone says, what caused the variation? Why the fluctuation? Good. Good question, Chidi. Good question, iPhone. Why did we get more customers in Q4? Fantastic. Narika, Celestina. That's a beautiful question. All right. Why did we get more customers? So when you've answered what happened in any organization, there's a second question you must always ask, which is what? Why did it happen? Why did it happen? And when you're answering the question, why did it happen? You are moving into a part of analytics called diagnostic analytics. So what the data analyst would do here is, I want to know, why did we have a drop between Q2 and Q3 from 3,000 subscribers in Q2 to 200 subscribers in Q3? Why did it happen? And I want to know again, why did we get a sharp increase from Q3 to Q4? Because if I know why we got this increase, I would ensure that we keep on doing the same thing. I would recommend that we keep on doing the same thing so that the number of subscribers keep on increasing. And if I know why we had a decline, I would recommend that we stop doing that so we don't have drop in subscribers. So the data analyst would dive deeper into the data to find out, why did what happened actually happen? You see question number one and question number two. That's the responsibility of the data analyst. So you are going to build charts and dashboards and reports to show this is what happened, this is why it happened, and you give recommendations based on what happened. This is what we should do and why it happened. This is my recommendation based on the analysis. That's what a data analyst does, essentially. Now, the data scientist takes it a step further and answers question number three, which is, what will happen? What will happen? Question number three, what will happen is looking into the future. We want to know in 2026, how many subscribers are we going to get in Q1, even though we haven't gotten to 2026 yet. So we go to what? 2026. So let's say Q1 2026, Q2 2026. So the data scientist looks into the future. They want to know what will happen before it even happens. Amazon wants to know how many orders would customer place from the 1st of December to the end of December, the festivities. And the reason why companies want to know the reason why companies want to know what will happen in the future is so that they can plan for that future, for that eventuality. If Amazon knows and can predict the number of orders customers would place based on historical data, what happened in 2024, 2023, 2022, and so on, they can plan for the number of drivers, the number of delivery riders, and so on and so forth. They can plan ahead. And that's why companies want to know what will happen. And when you're answering the question, what will happen, you move into the area of analytics called predictive analytics. Sorry about that. So predictive analytics, you are predicting the future. And for you to predict the future, you must understand statistical modeling, statistical modeling. You must understand machine learning, let's call it ML, using Python. So Atinuke that came in is a data scientist that can predict the future. So she had to learn statistics, she had to learn Python for machine learning, and so on and so forth. Okay, so whoops, I think I closed the slide by mistake. I'm just going to go back there. So one of the major reasons why somebody would say, I don't want to do data science, I want to do data analytics is simply because one of them requires coding, one of them does not require coding. So as a data analyst, I'm not going to learn how to code. I'm not going to learn how to use Python and all of that. I would learn how to use technologies around Excel. I would learn problem solving. I would learn Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, data storytelling, ChatGPT for analytics, Microsoft Fabric. But as a data scientist like Atinuke, I want to know how to predict the future. And machine learning, predictive modeling all starts from statistics. Okay, I would learn forecasting and predictive analytics using Excel, Tableau for data analytics, SQL, structured query language to help me interact with databases. So that data warehouse that the data engineer created to make data available, for me to get access to that data, I need to know SQL, structured query language. I would learn Python. I would learn Python for exploratory data analysis, machine learning, so that the machine can take data. The model I build, I can feed it with data, and based on that data that I've fed it with, it can predict the future. It can learn and use that to predict. Computer vision, GitHub for version control, Copilot, Microsoft Fabric. So the big question you need to ask yourself here, for that person who is sitting on the fence, and one thing I want to say is you don't need any experience. You don't need to have a background to do any of these. That's very important for me to mention because the question people always ask, and the fear is, can I do it? Is it possible? And I think before we leave, I'm going to showcase healthcare assistants, medical doctors who transitioned, pharmacists who today are data analysts, data scientists, data engineers. So you understand that you don't need a foundation. You don't need knowledge in that area to also transition. The curriculum is designed with the beginner in mind. We assume you know nothing when you join. All right. So I hope the insights I've provided has helped you will help you make a decision. All right. Somebody asked the question the other time that if I automate the pipeline, why would the company still need a data engineer? New data sources are always created. Projects are always ongoing in companies, and they would need a new pipeline to be built. They would need for us to create the data infrastructure to warehouse the new system or the new application or the new web app we are building within the organization. So it's not a destination that you build this and that's it. No, your role is always ongoing. When COVID happened, guess what? A lot of organizations had their data on-prem. On-prem means within the organization. Physically, you have a server room. I know when I used to work in a company in Nigeria then, the company that was owned by the Central Bank of Nigeria, we had a massive server room where all our data, was stored. But when COVID happened and we realized that, look, you can also get to work remotely. I can be in Nigeria, work for a company in the US and so on. But how do I access the data? Data needed to move from on-premises to the cloud. And who carried out this transition? The data engineers. When you work on projects where you need to go meet with your customers, gather data for a particular project, for a specific project, using mobile apps, get your customers to fill a particular survey, gather that data, get real-time feedback from your customers. A database, a data warehouse needs to be built. Who would build it? The data engineers. So your role, even though it's automated, sometimes it breaks. And when it breaks, who fixes it? The data engineers. You'd have bugs within your code sometimes and all of that. So nothing you do is fixed and set in stone. You would always be required to build new things. You'll be required to maintain what has already been built and so on and so forth. Okay. The data engineering, the data science, the data analytics program is 6 months learning, 2 months internship. So Atinuke is still in her internship. So she got this job in less than 6 months. That's the meaning. All right. And of course, you have the financial analyst, you have the HR analyst. The financial analyst and HR analyst are both data analysts. Okay. They are both what? Data analysts. The only difference is that the financial analyst focuses on financial data and the HR analyst focuses on HR data. The data analyst would work on a broad set of data, customer data, sales data, research data, and so on and so forth. But the financial analyst focuses on what? Financial data. HR analyst focuses on HR data. So they do the work of the data analyst, but they are a little bit more what? Specialized based on their area. So you learn the skills of the data analyst. Problem solving, Excel, Power BI, SQL as a financial analyst. Then you'd learn accounting fundamentals, financial analysis, financial modeling, valuation, sensitivity and scenario analysis, and ChatGPT for analytics. And as a HR analyst, you'd learn the data analytics skills, problem solving, Excel, Power BI, SQL. A HR professional yesterday was asking me in an Instagram live session, Adeza, I have experience in HR. What should I do? It's a no-brainer. Go for HR analytics. So if you are somebody with HR experience, HR background, HR degree or whatever, go for HR analytics. If you're somebody that has a accounting knowledge, you've worked in the financial services sector, you want to do something around the financial space, go for financial analytics. You are a data analyst focused on financial records. Okay. Again, if you have no experience, but you want to work in the financial services sector, you want to get a job as a financial analyst, as a commercial analyst, as a financial planning and analysis professional, go for financial analytics. All right. So again, 6 months learning, 2 months internship. Your live classes are on Saturdays, and on every other day, you're on the LMS. Now you have cybersecurity. Our cybersecurity program is partitioned into 3 specializations. So when you learn for 6 months, you would learn penetration testing, let's call it pen testing, or ethical hacking. Okay. Ethical hacking. So this is a professional who tries to hack the system. You try to penetrate the system, identify vulnerabilities, so that if you identify those vulnerabilities, measures can be created to block those vulnerabilities so that external hackers cannot hack your system. That's what you do. And of course, the second part is you have the GRC, the governance, risk and compliance analyst. And what do you do in an organization? Your focus is on ensuring that industry standards and frameworks are implemented. You are the one that would establish the cybersecurity policies and procedures in the organization. You'd ensure that the organization adheres to the regulations, industry regulations. If you're in the medical sector, you adhere to HIPAA, to the GDPR, and so on and so forth. You would maintain records of compliance activities, risk management efforts, and provide evidence during regulatory audits. So if you're somebody who has done anything around legal, you are a lawyer, you've done anything around compliance, audits, and all of that, you can work as a GRC analyst. You learn the skills and you can apply, land a job in GRC. Okay. And of course, number 3, you have SOC analyst, Security Operations Center analyst, just like the one Chukwuebuka got, Chukwuebuka in Ireland. And as a SOC analyst, you are basically, what you do is you watch out for threats. You monitor the systems, computers, and networks for suspicious activities. If you see a suspicious activity, a customer is trying to pay for a transaction in Portugal, whereas this is a Lloyds Bank credit card in the UK. That's a suspicious activity. So what do? You investigate. And if you see that it is a potential attack, you stop the attack and you build measures to ensure that future attacks don't happen. So as a security operations center analyst, you are simply monitoring like a guard to ensure that the organization's assets, the computers, the networks, the data, and so on within the organization are safe. And that's what you do as a SOC analyst. All right. So you would learn for 6 months across all these 3 areas. And during your internship for 2 months, you specialize on one. So you choose either pen testing, ethical hacking, or GRC or SOC. And that's what gives you the opportunity to get a job in any of these areas. So you'd learn cybersecurity roles and technologies, threats and vulnerabilities, threat detection and response, and so on and so forth. You'd learn governance, compliance frameworks, compliance audits, policy development, security awareness training and reporting, network reconnaissance. You would learn how to profile potential actors, threat actors. You would go through the entire threat intelligence life cycle and so on and so forth. And of course, you have the DevOps engineering. As a DevOps engineer, what do you do? So in cybersecurity as well, I did mention something. Okay. Now, if you're somebody that doesn't like technicalities in terms of looking at scripts, writing scripts, which looks a little bit like codes, you really don't want to get into pen testing. Okay. You don't want to get into pen testing because you do a lot of technicalities. But again, like I mentioned, if you're somebody who wants to get the job, it doesn't matter if you have no clue. If this is what you want to do, you can get to do it. But I'm helping you separate, like the question on data analytics, data science. What are the major deciding factors usually? All right. GRC does not require any single level of technicality. It's more document oriented, coming up with policies, monitoring, compliance records, keeping records, and so on and so forth. The SOC analyst would require some level of network monitoring. So you'd use different tools like Splunk, Wireshark, and the rest. Okay. But you don't really need to learn how to code and all of that to get to carry out your responsibility. Just to give you an idea, DevOps, on the other hand, also requires coding. Okay, some level of coding. And as a DevOps engineer, what do you do? DevOps is the integration of the development team, the dev team with what? Ops, operations. So you make sure that any technology that the company wants to deploy is deployed with few errors, very few errors, because as you are building, you are also testing for bugs and testing for errors. So the DevOps engineer works within the intersection of software development and IT operation. So you ensure that anything the company is building, you test, you deploy, and ensure that any error is identified before we go live. Okay, so you're somebody who can, test. You're performing the role of a QA tester, so to speak. You're performing the role of a development professional. You're building and writing codes in dev, and you're also tracking to ensure that what you are building goes does not go through errors. You have very few errors. It's very reliable, and you design and deploy as fast as possible. That's what the DevOps engineer would do and ensure that they automate the process of deployment. So when we deploy, what happens? You use platforms like Jenkins for your CI/CD, your continuous improvements, continuous development to ensure that the project goes on smoothly. So you do your CI/CD, you'd understand Linux, DevOps fundamentals, you'd learn how to use Git and GitHub for your workflows. You'd learn how to use shell scripting, where you'd use that to test for errors, automate the process, and so on and so forth. Same with containerization with Docker. So before you deploy anything, you test and ensure that you don't have errors within that project. So for every dev team that works on applications that build software, you have DevOps engineers working with the team to ensure that anything deployed is error-free most of the time, is deployed a lot faster, and the process of testing, constant improvement is automated. That's what a DevOps engineer does. All right. And again, for the DevOps engineering program, you have classes from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturdays. So it's one time on Saturdays, not like you have for the others where you have morning and evening, or those in the UK, Africa, similar time zone, and those in the US. For DevOps is one time. We have just one single timing, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. UK time on Saturdays. Okay. And every other day, you're on the LMS as usual. And last but not the least, you have product design. The product designers are the professionals responsible for how your applications look and feel. So you're joining on Zoom today. For Zoom, the way Zoom looks, the way it feels when you utilize Zoom, somebody built the design of Zoom. Your Instagram, somebody built the design where the buttons should be, how easy it should and intuitive the application should look like for you, the user of that application. Okay, so if you're somebody who has done graphics design, you're somebody who has done anything around design, you have a flair for design, interior decorator, and so on and so forth. Product design is a very good path for you. You don't need to learn how to code. You'd use your major tool would be Figma. You'd learn how to use Claude for AI as a product designer, Notion, Framer, and so on and so forth. So what you do is to design, you build the look and feel of how digital products would look like before the software developer starts to build that particular application. So just think of the product designer as a person who decides what you see and how you interact with an application or a website. So when you go to Tenalytics website, for example, you go to your LMS and it looks like this. You go to your dashboard, for example. A product designer designed what the dashboard should look like. Oh, this should be here. You can toggle between light and dark background. The application or the notification button should be here. Somebody designed this to look this way. All right. And that's what the product designer does. It's a high demand career path because you've never had applications built today in 2025 more than in the last decade. So the role for the product designer is absolutely phenomenal. You'd learn the UX foundations and research, usability testing, portfolio, AI in product design, how to build your wireframes, come up with your visual designs, your prototypes, and so on. Just like DevOps, product design has only one time, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. UK time. All right. And this is the only program that is not up to 8 months. It's for 4 months, 3 months in class, 1 month internship. So generally across board, it's 6 months learning apart from product design and 2 months internship. That's the structure of your classes and how you learn with us. The beauty about everything we've said today is all these career paths are for beginners. You don't need to have experience. You don't need to have done this before. So how do you start today? How do you get started? So I'm going to walk you through how to get started. We have a new cohort coming up. There's a video that I've loved to play. If we have time, if you want to see the video, you will tell me if I should play the video or not. It's an interesting one, just like Atinuke that came to speak today. But this is the lady who is in France, Vanessa, who got a job. And I want you to hear from Vanessa. Okay. So I'll play the video before we leave. But how do you start today? So we have our next cohort on the 10th of January, 2026. So if you look at from where we started, getting the high demand career path, get into one, learn the skills the right way, build experience, know where to apply, how to apply, make sure you have access to referencing, and so on. We looked at the learn, package, and apply framework. Atinuke came to speak. Every single individual that has achieved success started with one step. I want to do this. I want to get a job, and they start. So the next cohort starts on the 10th of January 2026, and you can be a part of that cohort. We have an amazing discount, a amazing discount, 50% off the current fee of all the programs. And we are doing this to commemorate our 5-year anniversary. We turned 5 in August this year, and we've launched this to ensure that people who want to start their journey, get started, can actually start. So we have a 50% off. That's me right there. That's a Femina where we held a physical event to celebrate the Tenalytics 50th anniversary in 2 different cities, and it was super amazing. We had participants who came from across different regions, and they came to celebrate with us. So how much is the fee to get started? What's the investment you need to make to get started? Rather than paying $1,200, which is the full amount, you get to pay just $600, 50% off. And for the product design, rather than paying $720 for product design, you get to pay just $360. So product design is a little bit, lower or cheaper than the other programs. And the beauty about it is you don't have to pay at once. You can make payments in installments. So even Atinuke, who has already gotten a job, she still decides to continue her program. Why? Because she's going to learn a whole lot that help her do that job that she's gotten. So what it takes for you to start with us on the 10th of January is just $150. So you pay $150 for 4 months, and that's what gets you into the program. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through how to register, how to, make the payments, get started, so that you don't miss out on the discount. All right. For us, we are closing for the year. We close for the year every year. We close for the year on the 20th, which is today. The discount was also meant to end today as well as we close. But when we saw that we had people who were joining our session today, we said, okay, let's extend the discount. All right, by another, 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours, the next 2 days to 3 days, for the first 20 people to register who wants to be a part of the January cohort. So if you know this is what you want to do, you want to start, the most difficult step is starting. Just like Atinuke also alluded to, if you know this is what you want to do, the best decision is to do what? To get started. And how do you start? Once you click the link, you see the link I have on my slide. You click that link, it's going to take you into where you get to register, and I'll show you that. You click on that link, it takes you to the platform. You can select any of the programs you're interested in. If you're interested in business analysis, data analytics, financial analytics, all you have to do is click on buy now. So let's say I'm interested in data analytics. I click on buy now. Okay. So it takes me to where I can see what the program is all about. I can see the curriculum, all the things I'm going to learn, from how to install your tools and technologies to problem solving. You can see every single thing you would learn during the program. The course instructors, you learn from the best in the industry. You heard how Atinuke raved about Ifeanyi and how he helped her prepare for our interviews and all of that. So when I know I'm ready, all I need to do is come in here, click on enroll now. This takes me to where I can create an account. You have to create an account for you to register. So I'll enter my name. I would enter an email to create an account, and I'm just going to do that very quickly and show you what it looks like. Okay. So I'd enter my email. I'd enter a phone number. All right. Accept terms and conditions, read the terms and conditions, accept, and create a free account. All right. So the moment I create an account, I would see where I can select if I want to start in January or February. So we have cohorts every single month. The only difference is this discount applies just for the January cohort. And if I make payments within this period. So if I make payments within this period, I have an advantage. I can choose to start either in January or February. But if I want to start in January and I want to pay in January, I'm going to be paying the full amount. So that's the advantage you stand to gain by registering and being one of the first 20 people to secure the discount slots. So I select January. I want to start my new year on a high note. You can select the currency you want to pay in. So for those of you joining from the UK, you can select pounds and you'd see the amount you'd pay in pounds. If you want to pay in US dollars, you select US dollars, you'd see the amount you'd pay. 600 US dollars, the discounted fee instead of 1,200, and you'd see the monthly installments. So you can pay up to 4 installments, $150 per month for 4 months. Okay. Now, if I make a full payment, I get an additional $60 discount. So instead of paying 600, I get to pay 540. Same with if I pay in 2 monthly installments, I get to pay just 540, additional $60 discount. And that's the amazing offer we have for the end of the year and to also celebrate our anniversary. Okay. So let's say I want to pay in pounds, for example, and I want to pay in 4 monthly installments. I get to pay a total of £460, £115 per month for 4 months. Apply discounts. This takes me to where I'd confirm all my details, my name, email. I would see my payment schedule, December, January, February, March. And again, the beauty is after making the first payment, you can always change the date of the second payment. So let's say salary doesn't come in on the 20th, it comes in on the 25th. You can change it to 25th of January for the next payment. And you see the 4 payments you've selected. Confirm your details are correct. Confirm you've read the terms and conditions and pay now. Okay, so once I click on pay now, I'll be taken to where I would enter my card details. So you enter your card details, um, enter all the details you need to enter. All right. Select your country, your region, select the postcode, and click on pay. So you'd see the original amount you would have paid, £230, but you're going to pay just 115. That's the 50% off. Click on pay. Once you do that, it would ask you to confirm your payment successful, go to dashboard to gain access to the LMS. When you click on that, you'll be required to verify your email. I'm going to show you what that looks like very quickly. So I'd verify my own email using an OTP that would have been sent to your email. So 885759. Verify your email. If you don't see the OTP in your inbox, go to your spam, but you're likely going to find that in your inbox. So country of residence, I'll select my country. So let's say United Kingdom. All right. Gender, select the gender, indicates your preferred time schedule. Okay. So if you're in the UK, for example, you want to choose 11 a.m. BST. If you are in North America, somewhere around Canada, the US, you want to choose 11 a.m. MST, Mountain Standard Time. If you're in Nigeria, you're in Europe, 11 a.m. BST is also the perfect time for you because that's the time that suits your time zone. So select your preferred time zone. How did you hear about us? Select one of the options. I think Atinuke said she found us on Facebook. So we are across all social media platforms. So let's say I select Facebook, enter an alternative email. You don't need to enter a referral code. Um, what made you register? Select that, enter something. The reason why you register, type it right there. Okay. And of course, so let's say I have something here already. Okay. I'm just going to select that. How much time can you commit? 1 to 3 hours, 4 to 6 hours, 7 to 10, 10 plus hours. We always recommend you committing at least 1 hour per day. 1 hour per day, because you are moving into a new career path. You want to dedicate, give it the commitment required so you can thrive in that particular area and land a job. So 4 to 6 hours, 7 to 10 hours, select one of those options and then complete setup. And the moment you do that, you'd gain access to the dashboard. Okay. So you'd first of all complete a checklist. The checklist is where you'd have to watch a couple of your orientation video, you join your classroom WhatsApp group, you'd understand the class etiquette and communication. And once you are done with all of this and complete your onboarding, you have access to your dashboard. Okay. So I think I'll take a breather right now and I would allow you ask all the questions you have. We'll take questions before we call it a day. Last year we took part in an accelerator by the Alberta government in Canada. That's me right there. That's a Femena, the co-founder of Tenalytics, and other, other startup founders that participated in that event. And of course, we also have our accreditation from the ACTDA, the American Council of Training and Development. Okay. So if you click on that link, it takes you to the website of the ACTD and you can see the amazing stuff we are doing within the space. I'm going to take a breather. I want you to watch one video, but I'll play the video before we leave. That's the last thing I'll do before we leave here today. So I'm going to take questions. The questions you have, we'll answer questions for the next 20 plus minutes, and then we call it a day. Is it lifelong access? Yes, you have lifelong access to the LMS and your classroom. So in the next 5 years, you can always come back. I want to show you a lady that used the opportunity she had with analytics. Even though she joined us in 2022, she came back and still we prepped her for another interview. Her name is Sonia. Sonia, before she moved to the UK, joined Tenalytics in 2022, our HR analytics program. Okay. And she got this job as a HR business partner with BAT after the HR analytics program. Now, this year, 2025, she moved into a new role. She came back, booked an interview prep. We prepped her for interview and see when she joined us the first time, October 2022, about 3 years ago. So you have lifetime access to your dashboard. All right. For those that want to ask more specific question, you want to tell me or the other career coaches, oh, I did X, Y, and Z in the last 5 years. I did this, I did that. You can always book something we call a clarity session. It's for free. But what I want to advise you to do is As you book the clarity session, make sure you've secured your discounts. Because what happens most of the time is you come into that clarity session, like the person asking the question. Let me check the chat again. That's iPhone. You don't have your name right there. So you come to the clarity session, you get your answers, you get the questions answered. And by the time you decide to register, you see that the discount is gone. All the slots are gone and you have to pay the full amount. So what I advise you to do is make the first installment, okay, and then book a clarity session. So you've locked in the discount. So no matter what happens, even though the discounts slots are gone, you've already paid the first installment. So you don't miss out on the discount eventually. All right. Let me take questions before we call it a day. So if you have questions, you can type into the chat. If you want to unmute and speak, you can also do that. So I think somebody's hand is up, Ezekiel. Ezekiel, please, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Go ahead and let's hear your question. And I'll also check questions in the chat as well. So if you have questions, drop it in the chat. I'll pick it up from there. Ezekiel, go ahead. Let's hear from you.
Hi, Adeze.
Hello, Ezekiel. How are you doing today? Where are you
Yeah,
joining us from?
I'm joining from Ontario, Canada.
Brilliant. So let's hear you.
Yeah.
What's your question?
So, fortunately, I am a student. I just joined
Okay.
this month in the
Okay.
data engineering program. Okay, so I'm here because I'm always passionate hearing you talk, and I love hearing you, inspire, to encourage, and to motivate us. Okay,
Brilliant.
so my question specifically is the role I intend to take or
Okay.
to train in. Yeah. Um, the about the pipeline and ETL pipeline. So you
Yes.
mentioned that the pipeline process could be automated
Mm-hmm.
so that each time probably you are not there, the process um would be continuous seamlessly. So now
Yes.
I now ask, yeah, if that is possible, why then
Yes.
would organizations hire more data engineers rather than having just one, to automate and to do all those sort of things?
Okay. That's a very brilliant question. So usually, depending on the size of the organization, if it's a small organization, definitely one data engineer would is enough to do all the work required. Now, if you have a large organization like a Scotiabank, like a CIBC, I can bet you that they have hundreds of data engineers. And the reason is simple. You have millions of customers. You have millions of pipelines. You have tons of branches and customers across different provinces. Okay. Which means every single day you churn out millions and millions of records, tens of millions of records of data. Because the pipeline is automated, does not mean that's the end of the work, like I mentioned. And I'll give you an example to drive home my point. When I worked in the energy space, we did a project where we wanted to understand why we were losing money in a particular region. So we sell power, we supply power to customers across a particular region. So, but a specific area, we were losing about um I want to just do the conversion in my head, roughly about 10 million, no, less than $10 million, about $8 million per month lost in that particular location. So we needed to find out, why are we losing this amount of money? So what did we do? We got people that were going to get physical data, okay? Pictures of the building, the number of equipment you had in your building, and so on. So we did a load analysis for different houses on different streets. And we physically went to the location to get that data and capture the data. And because we needed to see the results real time, okay, we needed to create a data warehouse that would feed into a Power BI report that shows us clearly, in this region, these are the number of duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. These are the number of bungalows. These are the number of the type of HVAC system they have, and so on and so forth. Who needed to build that particular data warehouse? The data engineer. So even though we had pipelines already collecting data from all the existing customers, we needed a specific project to carry out. Okay. So the role of the data engineer would always remain. You would always have one or two things to do. And for an organization that is large, you would need multiple data engineers to work on the different systems and the different infrastructure you have in place. Okay. So the number of data engineers you'd find typically are usually not as many as the data analyst and the data scientist. Because in a typical organization, you can have data analysts in the commercial department. You have data analysts in the marketing department. You'd have data analysts in operations. And across each department, you'd have data analysts, data scientists in those roles. Okay, so you could have 300 data analysts in an organization, but have maybe 10, 15, 20 data engineers in the same organization, if that makes sense. But one data engineer would not be able to do the work required in a big company or a big organization like a Scotiabank, a CIBC, a TD Bank, and so on and so forth. All right. I don't know if that helps to answer your question, Ezekiel. Okay. I think Ezekiel is muted, but I think I answered Ezekiel's question. So Franklin is asking, hello, please, as one that wants to take on a data analyst role, is it necessary to get very high graphics? No, mid-range laptop. You don't need a high range laptop or a top of the range laptop. All you need is a mid-range laptop. So a laptop, a Core i5 preferably. Okay, if you have a Core i7, brilliant. A Core i5 is good enough. 256 SSD, 8 GB RAM. That's pretty much an entry level laptop or a mid-range. Okay, that's pretty much works for you. You don't need to go get something high level. All right. Let's see. We have more questions. I want to start in July. How do I take advantage? That will be the only way you can take advantage of the discount. First of all, our fees are increasing next year. Okay. So I know I didn't mention that earlier. So the 1,200, the maximum we offer this year, our fees increased this December going into the new year. So if you had registered, say earlier this year, rather than 1,200 that you see here, you'd have paid $1,000. All right. But the fees increased to 1,200. But then we have a discount for the end of the year and also anniversary. So the only way you can take advantage is to register early. But to register now and start in July, I don't know how flexible or easy it would be for you to start. But when you come back in July to register, there's a likelihood that you'd be seeing a higher fee than what you have now. What about a MacBook Pro? MacBook Pro is perfect for you. Okay. One thing for a data engineer with logistics background, absolutely. But in logistics, Araba, so is there a reason you want to go for data engineering? Because I don't like, switching your decision. I just have a different opinion, but let me put it on the table for you to think about. If you're considering logistics, you can choose either data analytics, data science, or data engineering. And I'll give you an example. If you do data science, for example, and you add that to your logistics experience, it gives you another multitude of jobs you can apply to. A demand planner role, a logistics analyst, and so on and so forth. Okay. So as a data engineer, you can also do amazing stuff. What can I do with a nursing background? Boateng. Data analytics is the best for you. And I said I was going to show you a couple of nurses who transitioned. Okay. Data analytics is the best for you. This particular gentleman had no nursing background, actually. but he moved into healthcare. His name is Mawutin. Mawutin was an operations manager back in Nigeria. Today, he works with the NHS in the UK as a pathology data analyst. Pathology data analyst. Okay. Some other healthcare experiences. Let me see if I can find a few and show. This is Ramat. Ramat also in the UK. Ramat was a customer service agent in the UK, customer resolution agent. She joined business analysis. Today, she's a business architect with the NHS on sponsorship. Mawutin is also on sponsorship, by the way. You also have somebody like Toyin. Toyin was a pharmacist back in Nigeria. She joined our data analytics program and she moved from being a pharmacist to a benefit analyst with the NHS sponsorship. But today, her role is very interesting. And I want to show you her profile. Toyin today is a pharmacy data analyst. Toyin. So when she completed her training with us, she got this job as a benefit analyst with the NHS on sponsorship. Now, in February this year, she moved from that role to a new role as a pharmacy data analyst. Okay, so these are all healthcare professionals. Let me see if I can show you one more. This is Evelyn. Evelyn, a nurse with over 15 years experience. Evelyn transitioned into data engineering. You have Arome, over a decade as a medical doctor, transitioned into data analytics. And of course, this is Tony again, from a pharmacist to a data analyst. But let me play that video for you very quickly as we start to wind down today. If you are a lawyer, business analysis is so perfect for you. Yes, Araba, data analytics is good for you in logistics. So the questions you're asking is just going to make us take more time, but let me answer Linda's question, okay? Linda, as a lawyer, I want you to hear from somebody who is also a lawyer that did exactly what you want to do. I think I have him on my slide. I'm going to find him and I want you to hear from him and what he has to say. That's him right there. His name is Temi Vaughn. He was a lawyer, transitioned to business analysis. I want you to listen to Temi Vaughn. Let me click on this.
If you want to have a job in the next 5 years.
This is so annoying. Let me use my other browser, which would not have all those issues. Okay, so let's listen to Temi.
Hello, everyone.
So this is Temi Vaughn for Linda, who is a lawyer who wants to transition into business analysis. Temi, also a lawyer that transitioned into business analysis. So listen to what Temi has to say.
Hello, everyone. I hope you are good. My name is Temi Vaughn. I am a lawyer, and thanks to 10Analytics, I am now a business analyst. Now, I'm not doing this video because it is compulsory to do it, but because my journey with 10Analytics has been life transforming, and I want to share that with you. I remember I first of all encountered 10Analytics on Instagram, and I joined their free Zoom session, and that session was very convincing. Even the information they shared during the session was very, very useful. I didn't join the first time, right? But the second session that I had with them, I was convinced and decided to join. And from the registration point to the welcome package and everything, they were very, very warm and welcoming. Every time I had issues, I could walk up, message any of the staff, and they solved it with no hassle at all. Even during the sessions, the facilitators were very, very patient people. I've never seen a group of people who were that patient. We're about 20 something in class, and they ensured that every single person was carried along. You had questions taking them back, they would always answer it with patience. The whole session was mind-blowing, and this is the honest truth. Now, we're in an era where some certain skills are really required. Skills like business analysis, data engineering. And so my advocacy to you is, whatever you are doing, you need one or two of these skills. Now, if you want to learn these skills, I don't think there's any other place you can learn it other than 10Analytics. Now, these are some of the reasons why. One, apart from the fact that the organization will take you through the rudiments they will equip you with the skills needed to succeed in whatever course that you're taking. Another thing is that they help you to navigate through the tech world, especially if you've never been in tech space before. They take you through how to write your CV properly, how to make sure that your LinkedIn is updated. Also, another interesting thing is that apart from the sessions on teaching you the skills and taking you through the course, they have various sessions, mentoring session, what to expect when you go for an interview. In fact, if you have an interview, right, maybe you've applied for a job and you have an interview, you can actually send the organization an email or a message and ask them to do trial interview for you. And most of them, they are experts, like they've been in this thing doing it for years, so they know the questions that you'll be asked. So they help you, literally taking your hand and helping you through it till you are able to succeed. And the good thing about this, again, they have an alumni group. So even when you are stuck, maybe you're already working and you are stuck, you can always message any of your facilitators to say, how can I go through this? So it's not just an organization that is concerned about your money. They are really concerned about you succeeding in whatever it is that you do. Just because I have taken this course, right, apart from applying for jobs and all of that, everything I do now, I make sure that it is data driven, right? Even in the organization that I run personally, I run a social enterprise, I make sure that I now have the skills to, when I'm asking a question using Google form, I'm able to elicit information, data, and analyze the data to make informed decisions. So my mindset has really been transformed. Apart from the skills that I have, everything I'm doing, I'm making sure that it is data driven so that I can make informed decisions. Honestly speaking, if you really want to advance, right, I think that one of the places you should be is really Tenalytics, because they just don't teach you the course that you've registered for, but they take your hand and ensure that you succeed. Have a great life.
Okay, so that's Timmy Vaughn. He's a lawyer, Linda, just like, you also want to, and he did business analysis. Okay, so I just needed to play that for you when I saw lawyer and I saw business analysis. So, because of time, what I'll show you now is if you go on YouTube, search for Tenalytics on YouTube. Okay, it's going to take you to Tenalytics page on YouTube. Click on the logo, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any videos. Click on the logo, it takes you to the page itself, and you'd see alumni job success stories. I really wanted to play Vanessa's video, but time has gone. But come back here and listen to Vanessa. It's a mind-blowing story, and it shows you that to land a job is not just about applying. Vanessa got her job through LinkedIn. The moment we completed her LinkedIn optimization, organizations started to reach out to her. Okay. She got one of the messages. She thought it was a scam. Okay. Why are these people reaching out to me for an interview? We encouraged her to go ahead. She met the first stage, met the second stage. And today, Vanessa she got the job working in France. She's a Cameroonian based in France. It's an interesting story. You want to listen to that story. Follow us across all platforms, from Instagram, from Facebook to LinkedIn, YouTube, and so on, Twitter, X, across all platforms. Okay. If it's something you want to do, something you want to get started in, my advice is take that leap. Make the leap, make that, take that step today so that you make the transition into your desired career path. For a I'll take this last question and then we call it a day. Pina Colada is asking, for a medical laboratory scientist interested in healthcare data analyst roles, clinical data analyst, laboratory data analyst, is it advisable to jump into data science without having data analytics skills just because Python and statistics skills are not included? Absolutely. The beauty about the data scientist is the data scientist can also do the job of the data analyst, but the data analyst cannot do the job of the data scientist. Okay. So as a data scientist, like the explanation I gave, you'd learn descriptive analytics, how to answer the question, what happened. You'd learn diagnostic, why did it happen? And you'd learn predictive, what will happen. Okay. So you'd learn everything, the three areas I listed earlier. As a data analyst, you'd learn the first two. The third part, which is predictive, is where the data scientist comes in with statistics, machine learning, predictive analytics, and that's where Python comes in. Okay. So you don't need data analytics background to become a data scientist. No. Okay, you can become a data scientist without a data analyst. It's not a prerequisite for you to become a data scientist. You learn the journey. You learn the core areas that you need to focus on as a data scientist as you move on during the program. So Toyin that spoke, okay, no, these are different Toyin. So you have different videos, over 100 plus, close to 200 people that have landed jobs, from Vanessa to Toyin to Ayotunde to Judith to this amazing guy in data engineering, to Emmanuel, Toyins in project management, Emmanuel financial analytics, and so on and so forth. Okay, so because of time, we're going to call it a day at this point. If you've gotten value for your time today, joining us today, type in a yes into the chat. If you got value for your time joining the session today, type in a yes into the chat. Lasana is saying, I want to register for cybersecurity course, but you haven't provided detailed information. I answered questions based on the questions that were asked. In cybersecurity, I told you have three different specializations you'd focus on. All right. So what you want to do, Lasana, is book a clarity session. One of our career coaches would help you answer. My son just ran to me. You'd have almost seen him in the video just a few minutes ago. Thank you very much, guys. Glad you got value for your time. And for those of you that have started, have registered, I look forward to working with you on the 10th of January, 2026. And for those of you that still have questions, make sure in your WhatsApp group, if you've gotten any email from us, you will receive an email to book a clarity session. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, everybody. I look forward to seeing you in 2026. Cheers, everyone.